Y'all, excuse me.
We're about to stream in. It's taking a little time to transition. I had to make sure I didn't butcher apocalyptic, man. I didn't want to sit back and be apocalyptic.
It'll sound more like epileptic and shit, right?
Make sure I can speak and write English properly. It didn't look right for a second. But yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, cool. So, are there any questions, brothers and sisters? I mean, you have any questions? Everybody good?
Where are the brothers? I just see empty seats.
Well,
they're probably working.
For the most part, we should.
He's just trying to make sure brothers ain't sitting up there next to the podium, next to the, I guess, the screen, whatever. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone, let's go to Daniel chapter 2, and for me, these are some of the. Is that Tazapon in the back there?
Yeah.
Hey, shalom, Tazapon. Hey, shalom.
Hey, Kawakab, I have a question, brother.
What's up?
Hey, shalom.
Can you hear anything? Is it anything?
I don't know if it froze or whatnot.
Who's that? They just put their hand up.
Hold on.
They paused.
Yeah, I guess they froze. I think they. Let me see. No, it still says live YouTube. Now. Okay, they wrote it now. I think. I don't know. Hey, what's happening out there? You guys look like you froze.
Yeah, they probably lost connection.
Well, we'll wait for them to come back. I'm Yataza. I wanted to talk to you. So tomorrow, man. Well, we can talk now. Shit. Hey, listen up. So on midnight, we're not gonna go backward. We're gonna go into working on their character.
Yeah.
Because you can see Craig is a very undisciplined, prideful, rebellious, and feminine.
Yeah.
Because
Hold on. You're talking.
you can hear me now?
I get him to stop talking for a second.
You need me to be quiet?
Yeah, there's something wrong. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah,
Mic is on. Oh, that's the problem. Kawakab, can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you obviously can't hear me. Yes, I can.
Hello?
I'm gonna call back in. I'm gonna dial back in.
I can hear you.
Well, something's going, but I don't see
it's their end. The problem is their end.
I think it's on their end. Anyway,
yeah, I was thinking that he's feminine. The way he reacted, because a lot of time with these Israelites, they act out of femininity, thinking it's bravado.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Listen, I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna let go and call back in. All right.
Okay.
Like microphone. Hold on.
We can hear you.
Hello. It works on here.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Did the White House believe it? Did the media say? The White House?
Amiyati, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Amiyati?
Can you
no,
hear
I can't hear me. Shoot. Hold on.
I can hear you.
It's not working.
What's up, Amiyati? They still can't hear us?
Hey, kind of motion in them that's not that.
We can hear you.
Okay, so you guys can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, what the heck's going on here? Okay. I think this thing is kind of like.
So I'm a Yatazah. That's what we got to deal with, man. there was an approach I wanted to take also.
Hey, check this. I bet you the cord is out over there. That's what it is.
I
bet
need
you for money.
It's
Not plugged in.
Yeah.
like in the first time that I take a break, I need for you to go into the let them know. Again, you got to constantly enforce. You know, I've been on the Kawakab teaching for however long you tell them, and let them know they have to evolve and not in an evolutionary way. They need to revolve, revolutionary out of the discussion setting. So, and you're going to address everybody, but it's really going to be who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you
see the power's not even on.
We can't handle
for here.
Craig.
So there's a problem. There's a problem.
Let me know he got it. You got the recording. If you ain't sure,
I think we know what it is.
Huh?
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, it's gotta be that.
Yeah, you don't need to go back and go through the recording.
Mine just blown out just now.
You don't need me to verify on that moment. I'm teaching for them to go back and study. I'm not teaching to show me or for me to verify that they understand it, because they got the recording for that.
He's basically he's got a constant need for attention.
And listen, he's like Patrick was up in Canada.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And that is feminine.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all it is. He just always wants to line, always wants attention. That's really what it is.
Okay, hey, it's good, man. Somebody hit something and things went stupid. We're good.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, bro.
Okay, cool. All righty.
There was a problem. There was a problem with the power cord, but we're good now.
Okay, good. Are we streaming?
Yes. Well, we've been streaming in the silence for like 5 minutes, but they gonna have to just suck it up. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. Thumbs up.
Okay, cool. What's up on me at the
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Can you hear me?
Now it freezes.
I'm good.
You frozen now, Coco.
I'm frozen. I
can hear. No, you're good now. You're good now.
Okay, good. Okay. All righty. Dariad, before the thing cut off, said he had a question. Is he still there? Can y'all hear me?
Something's going on with the Sword of Truth video.
Yeah, you can see this, right?
Yeah, it's blacked out. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, wow. Oh, Warren, did you hear that? I'm gonna just text you.
They got cut off again. They got cut off.
Okay.
Can you text him?
Yeah, man. I guess they know they got cut off though.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, because they won't hear us.
Okay.
They're back now.
So that was us, and it wasn't you that cut off.
Yeah, it was you.
Okay, it's us. All right, so gently turn this around. Maybe that gently. Okay, can you hear us still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, we're good now. We're good. Hopefully, Satan has left the building.
What you said? Maybe he's going with Elvis.
Yeah, I think it's a Wi-Fi issue. It's a Wi-Fi issue. It's my phone.
All right.
Same thing.
Okay, so
Wi-Fi. Whoever got Wi-Fi is on, cut it off. Yeah. Including me.
Okay, also it was a Wi-Fi bandwidth issue probably.
Yeah, it's too many people on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, man. Yeah, okay. Listen up, y'all. So Dalia, you I was getting ready to go into, and you said you had a question, or was that you, Dalia, or someone else?
Well, it was both of us. We both had a question.
Okay, go ahead. Whoever's going first. Who's first?
Yeah, the question I had was concerning when the missiles drop, they come from all nations, right? But,
yeah, well, the Most High said, let all that bend the bow. So that means everyone that have missiles that could reach, you know?
I'm trying to look at the political, the political reasoning behind it. Like EU, right? EU is supposed to take over the states or put UN troops in the states, you know? So That's what I've always heard. I've always heard EU supposed to police the states, right?
Now, is that what you're asking?
But I'm getting my question. So if EU is gonna police the states, right? That would mean there would be why would they shoot missiles to the states? You know what I'm saying?
I know, right? Like they really care about their peon soldiers. But the issue is when you read, and we'll y'all forgive me. This is how we know who's going to be involved. On the other side, I just need for you to listen up and get the verses, okay? In Jeremiah chapter 50 and in chapter 51, there are multiple verses that make reference to all that bend the bow roundabout. So look for those, and you're going to look for bend the bow or the word archers in Jeremiah 50 and 51. And have that on standby, because you have you have different let's say you have a variable or a variety of elements that's going to be involved. So in Ezekiel chapter 38, just go there when you get what you got, let me know. But we're looking for those that bend the bow. We're looking for archers in chapter.
Yeah, I got them.
Okay, cool. Hold that. Because that's one element, right? The main element that the Most High give us is in Ezekiel chapter 38. And we ain't got to go through the whole chapter because he breaks it down between verses 1 through 1 through 5, or it's verses 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. So for now, Amayatazah, you're going to hold what you have in Jeremiah. You're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 38, and you're going to start off with verse 1. And then we're going to have a standby. We're going to be standing by for Revelations chapter 17, and then Amos chapter 5. But in other words, what happens is you have all of these elements. And when I say elements, I mean countries, various kingdoms are involved in this. But all of those that are involved, you have those who will be the elements who will be leading, who will be spearheading it. All right. So go ahead and hook that up. Start off with the one in Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1.
Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
Now,
and say,
you know that the Gog, you guys have biblical maps, and a lot of brothers and sisters can use your phones and go and check it out. And you're going to find something out also. More recently, when you go and look up biblical maps and you look up Gog for reference, they're shifting that over now. Toward where Turkey is. It's like Esau knows just like there's a heavy censorship, like the books we used to use that would help us to give visual aids to people, and also the definitions. Those books are being made either out of print or being priced out of what we know our range is. Esau's doing the same thing in the quote internet world, in the information world with information, man, with maps and stuff. So if you can find an old map, you'll see Gog is in the region between where it would be Russia, and not just Russia, but specifically where when Russia was the Soviet Union, where the Eastern or the Iron Curtain was, which is Eastern Europe, the border, the barrier that was set up between Europe and Russia to prevent more European invasions into Russia like the Germans did. So the point is, you find a good map, and you'll be able to understand that Gog, Magog. Magog is the territory, and Gog we would refer to as the chief or the head of state. So some heads of states are prime ministers, some heads of states are presidents, other heads of states are kings, other heads of states are premiers. But that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the leadership of Russia, Gog and Magog. It's not two people, it's a position, the leadership and the land. Now, the Most High is telling Ezekiel to set his face against Gog and Magog, because the Most High is telling them how he's going to be used, how Gog, Magog is going to be used. Continue. Amiyatazar, read it again from the top.
Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws.
Now stop right there, because speaking of Russia and the paradigm of having hooks put in the jaw like a fish and being turned back around or being turned around, you can look these articles and you might even find a lot of geopolitical interviews where the insiders understand that the fall of the Soviet Union was an event that was faked. During the old Chinese, when you're a strong, feign weakness, and when you're a weak, feign strength, right? So people believe that, but remember, I make those references, and I'm a yes. If you end up finding an article that you know that we can get to, that's fine. If not, if you can't do that right now, cool. The point is, right now, Gog is known as the Russian Federation, the Russian Federation, the Russian Federation. Now, what were they just from 1992? We're gonna call it on back, or 1991. They were the Soviet Union, and they were the Soviet Union. It was an evolutionary process that stemmed from a revolution in 1917. They had to actually pull out of World War I to go handle their domestic issues. The Bolsheviks, Trotsky and Vladimir Lenin went out and killed the royal family, the last of the Romanovs, Nicholas II and his wife. Everybody, all the kids took them out, shot them all, and then began the whole communist socialist movement in Russia. So that's what happened. That's how they got into that setting that grew into a nuclear superpower, the one that was constantly menacing the West. That is the paradigm that has to be turned back to. So when you go back to that, there was a military entity called the Warsaw Pact, right? The Warsaw Pact was a military alliance that was signed in Warsaw, Poland after World War II. And it basically was all of those Russian states, those Soviet states. And they were the ones that were leading the move of communism. Now, why am I going through all of that? Because Russia is known now as a democratic or let's say a republic, a federation with a democratic process. So to be able to turn Russia back is not so much the political, but the what? The enmity, the standoff setting, the Cold War setting that they were in with the West for how many years is that? From 1917 to how long? To 1991, when the Berlin Wall, West German Wall and all that, and communism collapsed. However long that is, that's how 70 something years, that's how long they were in that standing. And then after World War II was officially a Cold War setting, where literally the United States and the Soviet Union were at a hair's distance from pulling the trigger in a nuclear war. You had a whole bunch of proxy events: the Iran-Iraq war, the invasion of Afghanistan by the USSR, the Bay of Pigs event, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. All of these were events that were fought between the United States and Russia, but in proxy. That means they were using other people to fight battles to gain, quote, communist or capitalist territory, or from the United States perspective, to prevent the spread of communism, and from the Soviet Union's perspective, to prevent the spread of capitalism. Point is, this is what they're going to go back to, but not in the geopolitical sense in the most high, not in the quote economic political sense. It's going to go back to that in the war footing. And that's what he's going to tell you. So he said, I'm gonna pull you back, and I'm gonna take and put hooks in you and turn you back. So that's why it's important to at least know recent Russian history, so that you can know where is the back to go to. In other words, what was their former status? Continue, Amayataza.
Okay. Verse 3. And say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses.
So this is talking about the war footing. He said, I'm going to turn you back, meaning to that former footing, and I'm going to bring you forth, meaning I'm going to make you the aggressor. Now, that's why you got to go and read, or at least study a little bit about the Warsaw Pact, because those were all of the countries and the military forces that the Soviet Union was the head of. All right, that they were the quote umbrella, or they were the protection of. And so once the Soviet Union collapsed, then so was the Warsaw Pact. Their military alliance was dissolved. But in the more recent times, and I say maybe is I don't remember offhand the year, probably within the last 15 years, I can't remember, but you can look it up. They've entered into a new pact, a new military pact called the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, signed in Shanghai, China. For now, it's a confederacy of 6 countries led by Russia, China second, and then 4 of the former Soviet states, the Stans, I call them, the Stanleys, because it's Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. You can look it up. And another stand. I can't remember all the stands. There's so many stands. And they've also extended an invitation. And so in a lesser capacity, Pakistan has been invited. India has been invited. Iran is an observer waiting to make its mind up whether or not to join them. But we know that Iran is with them. Why? Because Iran, all of its nuclear facilities for nuclear energy are being built by the Russians. Point is, that's the sense in where they're going back. They were turned away from that quote war footing that was their Warsaw Pact, and they've turned back in the very same footing now and more powerful. And now it's called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now the Most High is going to tell you other countries that are going to fall under Russia's protection. So go ahead, Amayatazar.
Verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia.
Now listen, so right off the bat, he's naming what? Some of the countries that's going to be under Russia's protection and participating in this massive army. Persia is Iran. Persia, go ahead.
Verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them.
Okay,
all of
Persia, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is not the Ethiopia of today only. Ethiopia of the old days is most of the entire region called the Horn of Africa, where you got Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia,
Eritrea.
Eritrea and Djibouti. Those areas. So, and then did you read Libya already?
Yeah.
Well, and people don't know, most of these, especially places like Libya, Russia had holdings that every time the United States invaded, Russia and China lost some important and strategic holdings. This is what's taking place right now in Syria. So Russia is coming. And the question is, how do you link up? And this is answering your question because you asked the question for the most part with those participating in the boots on the ground invasion. What happens when those when their quote capitals fire on them? That's just they already send them to war. Listen, any country that sends armed forces to the United States have already given those forces up for dead, because there's no place on the planet whose population is as heavily armed as the United States. It's the reason for which the one time that Hitler's men actually spoke against invading someplace was when Hitler started musing upon the idea of invading the United States. Literally, he was like, okay, we got to speak up because this dude is getting ready to get us all killed. We can handle Europe. Europe is about as big as maybe Texas and Arizona. The span of Europe don't go any more than from California to Arizona or from Arizona to Texas. Europe is not a big place. Europe is very small. So he can handle. And look what happened when he went into Russia. That's what all kingdoms meet their doom. Napoleon met his doom when he went into Russia. All these cats, when they go into Russia, they meet their doom. So now what happens is it's going to be camouflaged within the, let's say, the configuration. It's not the EU, Dawiyad, it's the United Nations, which you can say the EU because the UN peacekeeper troops are for the most part the military wing of the United Nations. Just like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund are actually the financial wing of the EU. Then you have UNESCO is I will call it the cultural. That's what it is. UNESCO, the UNESCO, United Nations Education, Science, and Cultural Organization. That's that quote. We'll call it the intellectual wing of the UN. So it is the UN. It is the United Nations, but it's going to be their peacekeeping troops. Oh, you were saying the EU? Yeah, for the most part. So, but yeah, all the nations are going to fire on them. So the dilemma is not in the troops being there, because that's never been a dilemma. When they send men and march men and women off to war, they don't. How do we put it? They send them off to their death. And this is where the Most High is going to have it escalate. Remember, that's what he wants to do. So what verse are you on, Amayatazah?
Okay.
Yes.
This verse 4 and verse 5 speaking about the Iron Curtain coming back?
No. Oh, let's read it again. And when you say from the back, explain to me what you mean. What do you mean when you say from the back? You mean geographically or the past?
The past, like, the rebirth of the Iron Curtain.
Well, you know what? They're not using that term, the Iron Curtain. They're not using that term, but remember what the Iron Curtain basically, geographically speaking or geopolitically speaking, was that string of Eastern European nations that served as a buffer between Europe and Russia. But most of those Eastern European nations have actually been, and this is what got Russia mad, have actually been brought into the EU for strategic purposes. So they're no longer, quote, most of them no longer have inclinations toward Russia. Some of them, because of how they've been used and abused by the EU, that political structure, the European Union, they're starting to cleave more toward Russia. But no, this is talking, read verse 4 again, Amayatazah.
Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them.
Listen, so you see that, right? The Bulgaria, Latvia, I'm trying to think of Poland, Romania, all of those Eastern European, they're no longer in now whether they make a shift, the military paradigm or the military organization now of Russia is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's called the SCO. And like I said, it's Russia, it's China, and it's 4 of the former Soviet Union states. All of them have those suffixes called the stands. I know one of them is Uzbekistan, the other one is Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. like I said, them Stanleys get me, brother. But it's 4 of those. Now, since it formed, they've had, like I mentioned earlier, they have a lot of invitations that they've sent out to other countries, and all those countries that have received an invitation to join have the one thing in common, that they've all been exploited militarily and geopolitically by the United States and Europe. So they already would be leaning toward that. But the Most High give you some of the names here. That's what, did you get to verse 5 already, Amiyatazah?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands.
Now,
The house
when you read Gomer and all his bands, that's a territory that was in what today is Turkey. And so you see, Turkey is strange right now because for geopolitical reasons, they actually are a member of the EU, but they don't have there's really no economic or military benefit. And it's clear that the UN and the United States allowed them in because they are the link. You know, back in the day, that region was called Eurasia, Asia Minor, the link between Russia, the link between Asia, the link between Russia, Asia, and Europe. Russia is Asia. People don't know that's Northern Asia, and Europe. So that's where Gomer would be located. Continue on, Yatazar. You looking for something?
Sorry, verse 6.
No, go ahead.
I was just trying to get a map of Gomer and that for you. I think I got it. Okay, verse 6. Gomer and all his bands. The house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee.
So when you look up all of those territories, Gomer, I shouldn't say all, I should say both of those territories are found in what is Turkey today. You understand? And so Turkey is starting to lean toward, basically they have an anti-Europe and anti-American sentiment. You always have Erdogan, the head of state of Turkey, who's always threatening to use refugees to flood into Europe, because people understand that's actually a military tactic. When you flood refugees unnecessarily into a neighboring country, it results in the exhausting of the neighboring country's resources, especially places like the United States and Europe that are always offering forms of welfare, you know, to immigrants, to people passing through. But that's what he's always threatening. In other words, he's always in the news in current times demonstrating that anti-Europe, anti-American rhetoric. So we already see him posturing. Now, this is what I want to do. We are going to read on down. Oh, what you got? You have to make that bigger, bro. Okay, you see that, right? So you see, like I said, Magog is up there in that region of Russia, but where they have, that's a good one. You found it, because this is that 1874, because this is in alignment with the Mosaic one after the flood. So you got first, let's deal with Magog. You got Magog between the Black and the Caspian Sea, just north of where Georgia is, old former Soviet state, right? And then you see the term Magog in not the one that's bubbled in white, but along the northwestern border of the Caspian Sea. You look and you see Togarmah. Togarmah is right there. Well, you see
under the Black Sea.
Yeah, but I wanted to, just south of the Black Sea, but kind of north of where today Azerbaijan would be. Meshek is specifically where Azerbaijan would be today, a little north of Azerbaijan, and Gomer is just straight up where Troy was, the northwest of Turkey. So that's showing you all of that is Russia and Turkey. All that region right there is Gog, Magog, Russia and Turkey. Thank you, Amayetazah. Drinking this medicine, y'all. Okay, now, read on down that.
Okay. Verse 7. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them.
So they're the strong one of all those that are coming. A guard meaning they're the protectors. Continue on the Yetazah.
Verse 8. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. And
now,
is gathered.
when you deal with this verses coming up, a lot of us people, of course, Esau's always trying to prophesy about the Bible, and he don't know anything about it like he thinks he does. So it'll say the land of Israel because Israel's going to be included in it, but it's not describing the land of Israel, it's describing the United States, and you're going to see that. So go ahead on the
Okay. Just gotta share
That's
this.
verse 8.
Yeah, I just want to share this so people can so they can see, because that was in 1874 one, just so they can see what you're saying.
Or how they didn't change the stuff.
Yeah. So you can see that Turkey under the Black Sea that you were saying.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. And you see right over there, just east to the Black Sea, you see Russia, right? And so that's showing it that using the Black Sea as a point of reference, just south of it is Turkey. That's where what Togarmah was, where close to where Istanbul is. That's where what did it say? Togarmah, Gomer was, and then you see Georgia and Armenia. All of that is the southern part, but Gog was above that. Thank you, Amayetazah.
Cool.
So verse 8.
Verse 8. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword.
When it says brought back from the sword, meaning it was acquired through multiple warfares. First, you had the Europeans, various European families conquering the natives that were there. You understand? Once and then while that dynamic was still underway, the United States ended up in wars with Spain. That finally the last battle for Spanish controlled territory in the Western Hemisphere was Cuba, and the Spanish American War. Teddy Roosevelt presided over that. The one in his Rough Riders. France had its holdings, which it never completely, like the Louisiana Purchase territory that the United States bought from France because Napoleon needed to finance his final wars in Europe. Spain hadn't even paid for it. France hadn't even paid Spain for it before they sold. It's like if somebody give you something and say, listen, man, you can pay me by Friday, but Monday you done already sold it. That's what happened with the Louisiana Purchase territory. The point is, that was for what? To finance war. And then all of the wars that the United States, there's books called the Indian Wars, histories of all the wars in the process of the American expansion, the period of expansion, expanding from that Ohio Valley region all the way to the West Coast. That's why it says bought back by the sword. And it's going to tell you what the inhabitants consist of. Continue.
And verse 8 from the top. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel.
He's going to come against the mountains of Israel. So this right here make everybody think, and you be seeing those movies where they're like what is it called? Left Behind movies. Not specifically that one, but there's movies that are based on this, where they always show the Russians entering in to Israel, which is not, it's not saying they're not going to, but this verse ain't talking about that. And you're going to see it. Go ahead.
Which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them.
So this is a country that's, when it says brought forth out of the nations, once the natives were conquered, let me say this, the land of Israel is an apartheid state run by fake, false Israeli called Jews. That place is not a melting pot. That place is not brought out of all the nations. The United Nations financed and set it up to be what? A homeland supposedly that the Jews were returning back to. But the place that is brought out of the nations is the United States, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows they have movies and documentaries. And what is it that's put under the Statue of Liberty? Bring me your tired and your poor and your huddled masses, right? All of those, that famous welcoming that brought Europeans from all regions of Europe, that brought Asians from all regions of Asia. This is the country that's brought from, you're not gonna go to the land of Israel and find Chinatown, Koreatown, the sections cut off for all the different ethnicities. This is talking about the United States. Go ahead, Amiyetazar.
Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee.
Now, this is what I want to do. I want to jump down to verse 15 so that you can see where they're going to be coming from. Then we're going to go to Jeremiah and show the Bible when it says Babylon, where the invasion that's going to descend upon Babylon is coming from. So you can see in one end it's telling you the land or the military force that's going to be invading. It tells you that they're going to be what? Coming from the north. And then the Most High issues out this prophecy, this warning to Babylon, and says, I will raise up a band from the north. And then you can, I'm yet to look up maps and trajectories where it's already public knowledge, geopolitical public knowledge, that Russia's going to be invading from Canada, going to be invading the United States from Canada, where China, let me say this, this is cold because the Mexican government is working, the Chinese government is financing most of, they done took over and they're financing most of the cartels in Mexico. People don't know that. But they're like high power, Doc. They have military bases that have been housing Chinese troops for about 10, 15 years now. Let me say, Nicaragua signed you can look these things up. Nicaragua signed an agreement to allow China to build a canal through Nicaragua so that they could bypass having to deal with what? The Panama Canal. It just wild, Doc. But go ahead, Amiyetazar. So jump down. The last one you read was verse 9. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, right? Thou and all thy bands, he's reiterating this military force, and many people with thee. Jump down to verse 15.
And verse 15, and thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel.
Because where is Israel? We're there. We're here in the United States. He's telling you. My people. He said it, fake people. Now, this is the verse where it tells you it's going to be the land also. because everyone knows Israel is a United States planted and financed military base, a military state base. And then all of these wars in the Middle East, they won't tell you on the news that it's been Netanyahu and the I'm trying to think of there's an organization, I don't know what to refer it to because it's not a governmental body, but there's an organization that's pro-Israeli where, have you ever noticed that the presidents always have to make the United States presidents always have to make a statement endearing themselves to the Israeli state?
Yeah.
They always have to make a trip and go and put the little ball on their head and show themselves at the Wailing Wall. That's ingrained. Remember, Donald Trump himself just officially recognized, to the Arabs' world dismay, Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So all of these things, yeah, it's going to affect the land of Israel. But this one, when he says my people, this is talking about the millions of Israelites that's in the United States. Go ahead, Amiyat, read that verse 15 again. Oh, that verse 16 you were hitting.
Verse 16 now. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may...
And I'm going to bring you against my land. Go ahead. So this is how you know this is talking about the land of Israel. But the people is talking about us. Go ahead.
And I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes.
So now, why did I skip between verses 10 and verses 14? Only because for time, I'm trying to get to the point. All right. Dawiyat, I'm trying to get to the point of your question. We're not breaking down this chapter, but so what do we have here? We have a military force that's led by the Russian Federation. I'm talking in today's terms now. We have a military force prophesied to be led by the Russian Federation. Now, from there, we go to Jeremiah chapter 50 or 51, but before you pull out the archers, I want you to find the verse that says, let me go there. It says, for lo, a nation from the north cometh against thee. In other words, it links up this one. So I'm gonna see if it's chapter 50. I just gotta get there. Chapter 50. Yeah, so go to chapter 50 on the Yetazah and read verse 2 and 3. Jeremiah. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 2. Declare ye among the nations and publish, and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces.
Now we're almost experiencing that now. That's my other medication thing. Medication being teas and stuff, y'all. I ain't over here popping no pharmaceuticals. Anyway, right. All of these idols, right? Merodach, Bel, it says her images. In other words, the Most High is doing this now. All of the quote, I refer to so people can understand it as American or Western pop culture. All of those things right now. What are the idols today? Right now, I'm gonna say this evening, if because you get it in Israel also. If I gotta pick a nigga that's alive, I was gonna say Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is dead, right? If LeBron James was to walk into the school right now, I'm not even talking about a normal setting. If he was to walk up into an Israelite school right now, what would be the reaction? I don't want no answer from y'all. I'm gonna say it will be one of idolatry, whether Israel want to acknowledge it or not, because it already happened. I watched it happen. I watched it happen when certain rappers come to the truth, and brothers and sisters don't let him just be a regular person and come on in and humble himself and get taught. I watched it when cats from Boys to Men came into the truth by way of the Philadelphia camp. And of course, they ended up going with the Comforter. Why? Because they never was given a chance because of the idolatry. In other words, that's part of the pop culture. If Colin Kaepernick was to walk in right now with his big ass fro and dashiki on, why do I say that? Because those are the idols of today. They call them that, American Idol, right? If a singer was to walk up, I don't know who the singers are today. So if Beyonce was to walk up in there, they would be having some pull with Israelite people, right? Ice Cube posts a couple of posts with some icons and everybody think he's in. Nick, what's his dude name, Cannon?
Yeah.
Make a couple of controversial statements. It wasn't long before he's backtracking, and now the so-called Jews got his ass paying them, reparations. Shit, because for hurting their feelings. In other words, this is I'm trying to paint the picture of what the idol of Babylon today is. It's in all of the pop culture icons, and that's been broken up by COVID. Ain't nobody going to the football game. You watch football game with empty stadium. They got carton images of people. Y'all ain't see that?
Mm-hmm. NBA too.
The live concerts, people, all the musicians, don't get me wrong, I've been watching them too. They be okay, now here's so and so. It'd be like the screens, like a Zoom session. The screen split in 6 ways, and you got musicians, everybody playing the same song on their instrument from remote areas. Because the Most High done busted up that idolatry concert platform. The places where the last time I saw Dave Chappelle and doing the stand-up, it was in the height of COVID. Yeah, they had everybody on the outside place sitting in bubbles or sitting in circles, right, with masks on. They're telling jokes. Everybody laughing with their mask on. The Most High have destroyed the Merodach of Babylon, modern Babylon. He have destroyed the idols of modern Babylon. You understand? Because it's getting ready to go into a more sinister, a more intense setting. So people be wondering, how is this going to happen? But you're looking at it. All forms of what? Of entertainment. And that's what America and the world worship today, entertainment. If you're in Europe, you happen to be into the soccer players, right? If you're in America, you happen to be into the football, baseball, basketball players. Maybe soccer is growing, but not like it is in Latin, or not like it is in the rest of the world. But those are the people, man. And the Most High destroyed that. So, Amiyatazah, read verse 2 again.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 2. Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken. Bel is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
Now, why did we go there? So that we can know. Now, when you put the two together, Jeremiah chapter 50 and chapter 51, it has elements of ancient or Neo-Babylon. I say Neo because ancient Babylon was the time of Nimrod. Neo-Babylon was the time of Nebuchadnezzar. So, and we are in the days of modern or Babylon the Great. So this verse, this chapter and the following, and all of the chapters, chapter 13, chapter 14, chapter 47, all the chapters in Isaiah that or Jeremiah that make reference to Babylon, you'll have elements, prophetical elements that pertain to both Neo and modern Babylon. So how do we know this one ain't talking about modern Babylon or not talking about ancient Babylon? Because the people that came from ancient Babylon to destroy it came from the east, and they didn't destroy it. The Persians didn't. Babylon, that city was a coveted city by all the nations. The Persians left it standing. The Greeks left it standing. The Romans left it standing. It was that, and that's why when you read when we finally get to Daniel, you're gonna see it's represented as the head of gold in Daniel chapter 2, because no other nation has equaled it in splendor. You understand? So here he's telling you what? This nation is coming from the north. Well, where did the Most High? And we know that Babylon the Great, or Babylon here that we're reading, is the United States. But we find out that the invader is coming from the north, and the Most High told Russia, the plan that you're going to, I'm going to send you from the north. That's how you link those two in. Now, Amayatazah, jump over to read verse verse
14.
8 and 9. The same chapter. Now this goes to the nations. This is aside from the invasion, Dawiyad, right?
Huh.
These are the ones that's talking about what? Those that are going to be shooting from afar. So we're going to read verse 8, 9, 14 and 15. Go ahead, Amayatazah.
Verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks.
This is the
For lo,
this goes with all the other verses that tell you that when the nations see this begin to happen, it says every man shall flee to his own country and to his own people. But that's not going to be something that we're going to be allowed to see. Why? Because we're going to be on lockdown with masks on our face. Right? We're going to be running around here exercising social distancing. Niggas at home are sitting 6 feet apart. Esau, now you ain't gonna be up there monitoring the airports. And Esau know who he's letting in and out. Go ahead, Amayatazah.
verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country.
Now that's called because why? The first one just said, I will bring a nation, verse 3. But this one says what? An assembly of nations, just like we read in Ezekiel chapter 38. So that assembly of nations led by God out of Magog is coming to the land of Babylon, being America, with an assembly of great nations. Continue, Amayatazah.
And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain.
And they ain't talking about no bows and arrows. They're talking about the long range weapons of today, which are missiles. You understand? Amayatazah, jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord.
So let's talk about all the nations that got what? The capability to reach America. And this doesn't specify conventional or nuclear. This is just telling you all that. So it's going to be an array of conventional, but the majority is going to be nuclear. That means India's going. Just think of all of the non-European nations that have nukes. You got Russia; they're not a part of Europe. You have China. You have India. You have Pakistan, right? You got Iran got them. Brazil got them. People don't know that. It's going to be people firing all over, and this is what the Lord is saying. Now, the ones that have conventional weapons that can get there, they're going to be shooting also. So don't be surprised to see some Mexican flags on some of the missiles heading over there. Go ahead.
I imagine that the missile attacks will be quite strategic, won't they? They're not going to just be shooting at the whole of America.
Say that again.
I imagine that the missile attacks will be strategic on strategic points.
No, this is not. Well, yes, you're right. But see, people don't understand. When you deal with strategic points, first of all, they're gonna knock out all like Texas. Texas is a military town. We're surrounded by like 5 military bases, right? So that one's gone. They're going to take out the capital. They're going to take out the financial center. They're going to take out missile silo centers. You know, the Cheyenne Mountains, Palos Verdes Mountains in California, Minot, North Dakota, all of these places out. That's why the Most Heights, but we're going to continue to read. Go ahead and read on down. Say, yeah, listen, you're right, Amayet, 100%. But there's a whole, America's one big walking strategic place. The only place that they really going to want to preserve, we skipped over that verse in Ezekiel chapter 38, and that tells you that's in the center of it, where for years it had been known for what? The breadbasket of the United States, and then United States, talking about the Midwest with all the farming, the central states. That's in Ezekiel 38. That's what helped us to understand how it's going to be concentrated, coming from what region of Canada? Because Canada got a long border. Canada's border is as long from the northwest of Washington all the way to Maine. So where is it going to be more strategically feasible to pull this off? They ain't going to want to do it on the extremes. They're going to want to come down through the middle. And that's what's described, like I said, between verses 9 and 14 in Ezekiel chapter 38. We can get that. Go ahead, Amiyatazar. Verse 14 again.
Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she have done. Take vengeance upon her, as she have done, do unto her.
Now from there, jump to verse 29. Because these are the ones now that we're dealing with, everyone that mentions arrows and bend the bow. Go ahead, Amiyatazar. So now listen, the Most High just said this, Dawiyad. In verse 3, we read that a nation from the north cometh a nation, right? In verse 9, we read a company of great nations from the north. And yet the Lord is still saying those nations that are without are going to be firing on her. So yeah, they sending their soldiers, their UN soldiers to the slaughter. And they know that. Amiyatazar, verse 29.
Call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape.
Listen.
Recompense.
Hold on, I forgot to drink my water. Okay. In verse 14, it said, spare no arrows. That means every weapon that can reach the United States from every nation that has them are going to be spent. Ain't nobody gonna save nothing for last, for just in case. The Most High said that's what he's gonna do. This is what he's telling us right now, what he's going to cause the kings of the earth to do. This is not like, you be hearing these talk shows and we can come together and stop the globalists. Who you think you're talking to? And if we come together, maybe I heard him say the other day, the Lord will give us a reprieve like Nineveh. Have you been reading the Bible? The scripture just said, first of all, from those that will be firing, they're not going to waste any arrows. Spare means use them all. Then here it said, and let none escape, because their only escape, the only way out is for the Most High to extract you out. And he didn't already let us know who he's going to extract out. That's us. There's no escape from this. And then those who the Most High want to get, and they decide like they want to go and move down to Central America, move up to move to Asia, the scriptures tell you that he that flee from this snare fall into the pit. Let him that fall into the pit that flee the pit be taken with another. This is Isaiah chapter 24. Everybody that's meant to get it, gonna get it. And the scriptures say that. Matter, real quick, I want just on the escape factor. Okay, I mean, you have to hold that real quick and go to Isaiah 24. You're gonna come back to that.
Let's get that.
Kawakab.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing up these scriptures, because I've had to let others know there's no escaping this. And I think I definitely need the scriptures to back that up.
Good. This is it. Listen, read verse 17 and 18. I'm yet to Isaiah 24, verse 17 and 18.
Isaiah 24 and verse 17. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit.
So what's the noise of the fear? If you're listening to the proper radio stations, because if you're watching CNN and Fox News and all that, brother, they're keeping everybody asleep. But you have all of these whistleblowers, people that are in the system who's being silenced, hundreds, thousands of doctors blowing the whistle on the COVID hoax, being silenced, having their licenses taken from them or revoked. This thing, people are trying to get the hell out. They're talking about gold, silver, and storable foods. Brother, you ain't, what is going to get cooked for you once the fire get here? So the Lord said, it come to pass that what? That he who fleeth from the noise of the fear, meaning the news that's what? Causing all this fear to go down. He's procuring means to get out, right? The Lord said he shall fall into the pit. Go ahead, Amayetazar.
Verse 18 from the top. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake.
That's the Most High's way of saying nobody's going to escape that's not meant to get out. That's what he's telling you. So Amayetazar, we taking it back. Go back to Jeremiah.
Verse 20, Jeremiah 15:29.
Yeah.
Call together the archers against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work. According to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore,
go ahead. No, that's it. That's it. So you see that both of those elements, right, Dawiyah, you see invasion from the north, and at the same time, simultaneous, you see firing out. So if the Russian, remember, they're not locked in with and well, there's so much to this. They're not, quote, allied with the West, the Western forces. The Western forces, now when I say the Western forces, meaning as opposed to Russia and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and that camp that's known as the East, you have the West that is known as what? The NATO, right? North Atlantic Treaty Organization, financed 73%, most of it and led by the United States. It's just basically the European armed forces spearheaded by the United States. That's all it is. We go, where do they come into this? That's where Revelations chapter 17 comes in. So go ahead and go to chapter 17 of Revelation. And I'll tell you what verse when we get there. Revelation chapter 17 and hold on. Go read verse 12.
Revelation.
You're going to start off at verse 12, actually. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 17 and verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
Now stop right there. People like to call that the European Union, and it's not the European Union. It is the 10 horns are known as the Western European Union. Now, this one, Amayektas, I want you to take time and go get the list and put it on of the Western European Union. And you're going to see it's only 10 of them. And they exercise all the authority over all of the members of the European Union, all of their subjects. And this is why the scriptures say they don't have a kingdom, but they exercise power as kings, because none of them do. They're not superpowers anymore. Britain still got its military and its nuclear arsenal and a formidable military. Here we go. Is there a list, Doc? Oh, that's it right there. Let's check this out. This is called Western European Union, former association, 1955 to 2011, of 10 countries: Belgium, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, and the United Kingdom, that operated, they're talking about this as the past tense, this is still going on, operated as a forum for the coordination of matters of European security and defense. Now, that's a damn lie. They've basically been tyrannical as hell over the rest of Europe, imposed a monetary system, opened all the borders, and brought down all of those nations that were subject to an economy through immigration, what we were talking about earlier, through immigration. What does listen, I ain't got nothing against it. I'm just gonna give you the geopolitics. How do they use immigration as a weapon against a nation? Because it drives down the wages. People coming in from out of a country in unstable conditions, they're willing to work for way less to survive. They be in survival mode while the nationals of whatever country be into what? They be into the upwardly mobile and growth and development and future mode for their children. So you got somebody that shares your skill that'll work twice the hours that you work for 1/3 the pay, and ain't even thinking about anything called a benefit. Ain't even thinking about anything called paid vacations. Ain't even thinking anything about days and holidays off, huh? And everybody and all the businesses and the companies in the United States that can take advantage of that. Those that can't, those that can do more, they just take their industries over to China and to India. That's how powerful the desperacy of man is, that you can make a living. All the Apple stuff that we buy, all the Nike tennis shoes and the Jordans that you buy, they're coming from people that make 2 cents a day. Literally. People don't know that. So now take that dynamic and put it inside your country. And those people are just as skilled as you are. You might not necessarily get the quality, but they can do what you can do. And so this is what the Europeans have been suffering under with in the Eurozone. You had 10 countries that was making decisions that affected all the rest of Europe, and that kept them struggling. They weren't having those problems when they had their own independent monetary system. Point is, that's what it means. When it says these and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which means 10 kingdoms. It's not 10 individuals, which have received no kingdom as yet, because they're not a quote empire. They're not a force. It says, but receive power as kings. Now, what power does a king have? Power of a king is to be able to control the decision over people's lives. You pay the king taxes. You do what the king tells you to do. You receive the handout that the king wants to give to you if he decides that he's going to be magnanimous or benevolent. And so that's what the Eurozone has been doing. Those 10 countries have been doing to the rest of Europe. Continue on the Yatazar. Verse 13.
Verse 13.
Revelation. Let me say this up. Is the UN, the United Nations, I'm trying to think of the name of the building. the government building. Is that in Brussels? I want the image of the one, that one. It's the United Nations, but I don't know if it's called headquarters. I don't know the term of it because I ain't European, but it's the one that have the statue, a metal sculptured statue of a woman, a naked lady, riding the back of a beast. And basically it's the same. I want you to get that first, and then I'm going to show you that verse in this chapter. Because one of these things that you find out is that the Most High, in order to tell us who he's talking about without having to say names, is he gives us the imagery that very same culture used.
Yeah.
So what's up? You talk, yeah.
I was just saying water, bro, because you know, I kind of, that was a question I had also. And they had, bro, you brought up Hydra. You brought up Hydra.
Yeah, that we'll get to that, but yeah.
I'm not asking the question. I'm just saying the why, because I didn't understand the symbolism or the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned the Hydra a while back, because the Hydra was that Ghidorah from I'm about to say Dracula, from Godzilla, King of the Monsters, right? And you saw the badass Ghidorah in Japanese, right? That's just Ghidorah.
Which one, Jared? There's a couple. Which one do you want?
I think he froze.
Oh, you froze? Okay.
It looked like he froze. The screen froze.
I think this is internet. It says internet.
So it's like,
Might be because of the phone. So. Like, the Wi-Fi.
My phone's not on the Wi-Fi. I don't know.
My phone. Might be because I'm finna turn my phone on. My phone went on.
Okay. No, I thought you stuck on the cord. Slide that. My bad.
Is he on there?
I guess so. Huh?
No, fuck my car.
I don't know. It's one of those technical difficulty situations.
It was getting good.
I know, bro. Dope ass class, bro. You're eating food right here. It's frozen. Chances are. I don't know.
Yeah, shalom, bro.
I guess Kawakab was his side is frozen because it's still alive. Huh?
Yeah, he's lost connection.
Okay, that's
Here we
good.
go.
Yataza. How's that Europe life, man?
Hey, it's all good. You know, like, but yo, you know how I in the world like that. You know how we do.
Oh,
You know.
We're like not even like we're like. I understand. I completely get it, bro. I'm disconnected from a lot of things going on.
Exactly. That's that's just how. No matter where you are in the world, that's how the Most High wants you living. You know, we're in the world but not of it, and so yeah. I go from work to home to class and then repeat.
I get it, bro. I had a good time when you was down here, man. I enjoyed your company, bro.
Hey, for real, man. I often think of you guys.
I think about you too, bro. Mr. Fearless, huh?
Yo, you still into your bags?
But trust me, I'm from London. Trust me.
Don't worry, you still into your bags?
What bag? What bag?
Remember, you used to be into bags. You used to like bags. You still liking bags?
Oh, I'm still a bad, crazy person. I can remember that, bro. I'm saying, bro. I had that post office bag. I mean, like, I like that stuff. You know, I like that.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. No, I went past this bag place the other day. It was like this. I think it was a market, and they was doing these like artisan bags, handmade bags. Yeah. And I thought of you. I thought, damn, that way I'd love this place.
Well, yeah, great memory. You know what? We were moving out, and this cat was throwing away this like 1980s like peanut butter like leather bag. He's gonna throw it away, bro. But it was in mint condition. He just didn't know how good it was. I just,
Yeah.
Donate. We'll get rid of it. We'll donate it to you. To the
Wow. Yeah. How's the moving company going? How's it going? How's the service going?
You know, today was the first day of the. Today was the first day of the routes. The first day of the routes. So we route.
Yeah.
So the company's the move company's always the moving company. It's consistent, but it's the first day of the actually driving around and doing the drop offs.
Yeah.
That's y'all why I've been on the outfit.
Okay.
I'm at the mall, bro. You know.
Okay.
I'm not driving no 18 wheelers right now. Nothing like that, man. But today's the first day, man. They did a really good job.
Brilliant.
A couple of things happened, but you know, just like they plugged up some type of, it just the fuse blew out at a house. It was just mechanical stuff.
Hey,
Okay,
y'all, that was my internet, because I don't know what the hell is going on, but we back. Okay. What verse were you at, Yetazah?
We were at Revelations chapter 17, and I believe was it verse 13?
And I wanted you to pull up some image, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever find that of the?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the building that's in Brussels. Where is the UN headquarters? Was that in Brussels?
This image is in Brussels.
Yeah.
And the building itself is shaped like the tower, the unfinished tower. Like, there you go. Now, what happens with that, so that you can see, this is the image. This is the image that the European Union uses. Now I'm gonna show you something. Can you put all those different angles up? Oh, I see them down there in small. I don't know if you can make this whole overall image bigger. If not, don't sweat it. But I want to go backward real quick to.
Hey, Kawakab, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. They also put it on a stamp.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. They got it. You can find it. It's not a stamp. It's the €5, like the $5 bill. It's not a stamp. It might be on the stamp also. I shouldn't say that, but the one that I saw, it was actually a €5 note.
Yeah, they put it on the stamp to commemorate the first European Parliament elections in 1979.
Okay, check that out. So if you jump backward, I want you to read verse 3 and 4.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm a Yetazah. You're going to go to the beginning of that chapter, and you're going to read verses 1 all the way down to verse 4. Or actually 1, 2, and 3.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
Go ahead.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
So now check this out. Y'all see that cold ass imagery? Now that woman represents the United States. The beast itself represents the nation, the Edomite nation. The woman represents the one at the head, we'll say the spearhead of the kingdom that is spearheading the Edomite nation into the future. For now, that's the United States. You understand? And then if you look at the entire complex, Yetazah, that this is out in front of, it's constructed to be in the form of an incomplete Tower of Babel. So you might want to find that too. and they'll show an image of an artistic rendition of the Tower of Babel. And right next to it, they'll show the EU. Yeah, now you see that, right? Now you're going to find the image of the actual European building. Now check that out, y'all. You see that? It's like it's made to be unfinished. And so they know who they are. You understand? Why is the EU Parliament building modeled after the cursed Tower of Babel? And not just the cursed Tower of Babel, but it being unfinished. Then they have a flag that says the EU, European Union, one, how does it go? Many languages, one thought or one future. In other words, it's everything that they do is in defiance. That's the one. Check this out. So you see the comparisons. And then out in front, they got the lady, the image that we just read in chapter 17 and verse 3 out in front. Okay, enough of that. I just kind of, while we're here, I just want to show y'all that these people are not operating haphazardly. They're actually operating in the fashion that the Most High have them to, and then you see it all based on what? Biblical platform. This is prophecy, unfolding. So, you have to jump back down now and pick it up from verse 12 again.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
So people don't understand when it says they shall give their power and strength unto the beast, it's not necessarily talking about give their power and strength unto the United States. The United States at this point is just one or the most recent horn. Like the scriptures say, 7 heads and 10 horns, those 7 heads already followed. But if you read above it, it tells you there was an 8th horn, and that's the United States. So the point is, when it says they shall give their strength and their power to the beast, it goes all the way back to Daniel chapter 7. The beast is the nation. So in other words, it's talking about what? A consolidation of effort through all of their resources to do what? To move forward and maintain this hegemony in the world. But they want to use, we'll deal with that later. The point is, the beast, in most of the senses, is talking about the empire. That's why I said I saw a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast is the body. The beast is the nation. The beast is the civilization. But throughout the course of history, they've emerged to each one, or there have been 7 that have emerged to take the preeminent position among them. So the one that gave birth to the European civilization was Greece. That's in Daniel chapter 7. That's in Daniel chapter 2. Then they were superseded by who? By the Romans. And then the whole dynamic of the Dark Ages, all of that is in here. So now, Dawiyah, don't worry, we're going to tie it into your question. Yeah, what's up?
It's hopping off topic, but the question lies, it's said that this is a narrative, like this is a pre-planned Edomite narrative for these warfares and these infrastructures, like Albert Pike with World War I, II.
Yeah.
But biblically, it's showing us what's going to happen. But is there? I know their goal is not to destroy themselves. Their goal is to overthrow Christ. We get that.
But let's read on down. This is going to clear it up. Go ahead, Amiyatazar.
Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall be overcome. And the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
So when it says these, it's talking about the 10 horns and the beast that they give their power to is going to wage war against Christ. That's consistent with what is in Revelation chapter 7, chapter 19. That's consistent with what is in 2nd Ezra chapter 13. It's consistent with what is in Isaiah chapter 34. But each one have elements, then when you put them all together, you get a clearer picture. But let's talk about their motive. We're going to read on down. What is it that's compelling them to do these things? Continue on the Yetazah.
Verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
So you got this woman riding a beast, and the beast is on waters. The waters is talking about the European civilization, the Edomite civilization, being spearheaded by their most dominant one that's portrayed as a whore, right, is governing all the nations of the world. And that's how it is. That's what the whole United Nations project is about. Read on down. For right now, who's got everybody in a mask? The World Health Organization, spearheaded before that by what? The CDC of the United States. That's who's they're showing that they're leading in every aspect. Who's spearheading the transgender movement? The United States. Everything that you could think of. Who's spearheading the pop culture movement? Anybody running around here? China ain't spearheading it. China's making movies and as if they're going to be the next, the next, let's say, person to be desired. They starting to pump all these different Chinese shows and Asian shows, trying to endear you to them as Esau endeared people to him using his movies.
Yep.
Everybody's following the states. Go ahead, I'm yet to Zan. Verse 16.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire.
So these are among those nations. See, if you understand the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, led by Russia, backed by China, and all the supporting countries that's going to invade Babylon the Great, the others that are not participating in the invasion, that are their enemies, are going to fire on America simultaneously. Go ahead, Yetazah. Why?
Verse 17. For the Most High hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled.
So this ain't got nothing to do with Albert Pike. This ain't have nothing to do with any man. This was whatever Albert Pike wrote, the Most High put it in his mind to wrote. What all these leaders, the Most High is telling you, he's the one that have them following this course of action. So that was just as concise a format that I could answer your question in, Dawiyah. I hope it's that was satisfactory. But the thing is, these are the things we're gonna get to. But what I want to do is I really want to introduce the concept of the times that we're living in now, starting from Daniel chapter 2. Because if I start from Daniel chapter 2 is the simplest form to present, and I call it apocalyptic. Let me clear this up for the brothers and sisters that's listening, or whether they're going to be watching the live stream or the recording. When you say apocalyptic, apocalypse does not mean end time. Apocalypse means to reveal. It's a Greek word, apocalyptico. Apocalyptic means revealing. Revealing. Now, it just so happens to be revealing what? How the end times are going to unfold. And that's how the term apocalyptic have become almost, in our culture, synonymous with the end times, because that is what it's revealing. But the meaning of the word, it means the same thing in Spanish that revelation means. Like the book of Revelation in Spanish and in Portuguese is not revelaciones, it's apocalipsis. Right, apocalipsis. And so, but you've been hearing people, oh my God, the apocalypse, right? People say the zombie apocalypse. There's always some kind of apocalypse. The revealing is what it means. But the Most High revealed to us the end time. So, Ma Walla, what is your question, brother?
It's all good. They can wait, man.
No, I want to know the question. Brother, I want to get to Daniels. But what's your question, brother?
That's this man.
No, it was just basically around what you said, like I think like a couple of classes ago. You were talking about when you was going over like the Sabbaths and stuff like that. Like when you touched bases on like how
the mic for you is going in and out. So yeah. Okay, go ahead. You said I touched on something about the Sabbath.
The Sabbath, part of the Sabbath, and then you touched a little bit into like Joseph, how he was subject to like the Egyptian empire.
Yeah. No, what I said, I didn't say he was subject. Well, if I said he was subject, what I was saying was Joseph was immersed in Egyptian culture. And the comment that I made was, how is it that his brothers who saw him the last day, they're the ones that put him in the hole.
Right.
They put him in the hole with the intention of selling him, went to have lunch to come back and get him. Reuben said, okay, it was either Reuben or Judah. They said, well, while everybody did, I'm gonna come back and get him. But when they all got back, he was gone because the Midianites, Ishmaelites, had came and gotten him and sold him to the Egyptians. Now, from that moment on, the word, but this is the point I'm making, because I remember the statement I made. The question was, how could his brothers stand? LT's mama took him, I'm talking about my oldest son, when he was 2 years old. And so, but when he got here, he was 19 years old, and I didn't have no problem locating who it was at the airport. You know, now he was 2. Now, Joseph was 17 when his brothers last saw him, right? They went back to daddy with the bloody garments. So much for your beautiful coat of many colors, Joseph, right? And so the next time they see him, they're standing before what they describe as the man in Egypt who sold us grain. The man. They ain't recognize him. So you mean to tell me between, and what happened? So when they saw him, it was the second year of the famine. I'm trying to get his age. I think he was 39 years old. The last time they saw him, he was 17. The next time they would see him, I think he was 30. Let me do the math. He had been on the throne. The 7 years of prosperity had come, and the brothers showed up in the 2 years of what? Of famine. So he was 39 years old. He was 30 when the king put him on the throne. The king put him on the throne because he was able to what? Properly interpret the king's dream. And it says he was made that position what? At the age of 30. He was the one that took the 7 years, prepared Egypt for the famine to come, so that when his brothers came looking for corn, he already said 2 years of the famine has already passed, and lo, there's 5 years to go. So he was 39 years old. So between 17 and 39, what would help you? What would I got people that I know that I went to high school with that I ain't seen since then, and when I see a picture, man, just them, just a couple of wrinkles, a couple of jaws are sagging a little bit, but they still look the same. So the point I was making was, how was it that these 10 young men that put him in the hole could not recognize him? And the only explanation is what? He was in the Egyptian way.
And the question behind that was, because the thing about it is, he was basically a part of that time period, of course. The point I was getting to is, in modern day terms, as far as in like servitude, what level or what certain extent are we here, like, you know, as servants, you know, to be subject now to America,
or wherever we are in the world, right? To wherever, being awake. When I say awake, meaning having come back to the Most High, you're subject to them until the line that has to be drawn if you're being asked or demanded to do evil. Now, why do I say that? Because that's what Daniel and them did. You guys, you go back and read that on your own. You can read the chapters of Daniel where Daniel was serving to the king. You go and you read, we're going to get there. But as we get there, you'll see that what? That Daniel was authentically into his position. He wasn't no Uncle Tom. How did he get in that position? The same way Joseph did. He was able to interpret dreams that what? The Most High gave him the ability to interpret dreams that the king of Babylon's magicians and all of those people of that in that office couldn't. So he ended up getting put what? Over Babylon. And then it tells you when you read on down, then what was the first thing he did? He went and elevated and had the king promote Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And then they took care of the affairs of Babylon. And what? And Daniel sat in at the gate with the king. Daniel rode with the king, man. And he did the business. But when it came time for Daniel to have to what? To abandon, or when he was compelled by the Babylonians, by his authority, to what? To abandon the Most High in the way that they would have him, whether it was idolatry or not praying to the Most High, he didn't do it. And that's what, and it resulted in him being thrown in the lion's den. The same with the three holy children. The same with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were told when the music plays, you got to bow down. Whoever don't is going to be thrown into the fiery furnace. And they didn't. So that means what? They served their servitude. And they were in captivity. It tells you in chapter 1. They had to go to school. They were taught the Syriac language. Well, their servitude was a damn job. And they went before the rest. If you really understand the history and how it went down, the Most High had the wise men and everybody that would be desirable for a position and beneficial to the Babylonians. They were exiled 3 years beforehand. That was the Most High's way of making sure they were spared. Because then the Babylonians went in and leveled everything and took everybody else captives in the brutal form. So to answer that question is, you do what you're told. The scriptures tell you that. But then the scriptures also delineate what? The line beyond which we don't go. Your boss come and say, well, today we got a new dress code and they starting to put mini skirts on niggas. That's the day you quit. You understand? That's the reality of it. In other words, see, people, the Most High is not with no rebels. Let's get real quick, Acts chapter 13. And that's what happens as a form of our punishment. Remember, we convinced the Most High. You know how long it took us to convince the Most High of what we convinced him? First of all, what did we convince him? We convinced the Most High that we didn't want to govern ourselves. We convinced him that we would not be self-governed. How do we do that? All of the rebellion, all of the idolatry. All the Most High turned around and did was say, okay, you convinced me. And then he gave us over to the ones whose gods we were following anyway. That's what he did. You go back and you read Ezekiel chapter 23, Ezekiel chapter 16, the Most High tell you, all the ones that all those lovers, he referred to them as lovers, they're idols, those were the ones who we used to bring down to chastise us. Why are we under Esau? Because the last two kingdoms we were governed by were the Greeks and the Romans, and we was loving the hell out of them. You go read that in Maccabees chapter 1. In those days went out wicked Israelite men and said, since we have been separated from the nation, we had nothing but problems. So they what? They went and aligned themselves to the Greeks and sold themselves to do mischief. And then the Most High used the Greeks to really start putting it on us. That's how it happened. It was prophesied in Daniel chapter 8 that it would be that way. So we follow, read that. You got Acts chapter 13 and verse 1?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets.
I'm sorry, Romans.
Romans.
Yeah.
Romans chapter 13 verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High.
So there you go. Yes, including Esau. We just got to reading it in Revelation 17. For the Lord hath set in their mind to agree with the beast and give them his power until the words of the Lord be fulfilled. He's running the whole show. To what degree? Go to Daniel chapter 4 and read verse 17.
Daniel chapter 4 verse 17, did you say?
Uh-huh.
Daniel chapter 4 verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers.
The watchers are the angels. The Lord referred to them in other areas as the eyes of the Lord. And he says that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So here he's saying this decree is by the watchers, meaning the angels. The Most High got them announcing this. Go ahead. And this was Daniel breaking down one of the king's dreams. Continue.
This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones.
So hold on. The holy ones, those that work for the Most High, they're all announcing this from his order. Go ahead.
To the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men.
Yeah, so people be always talking about Esau's the devil and this and that. Well, we did what it took to get put under the devil. We would not be governed. And we were warned, because thou servest not the Lord thy God to keep all his commandments and all his statutes with joyfulness of heart and the abundance of all things, the Lord shall what? Thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall bring against thee in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness, and in the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee. That's why. It's us. We keep pointing the finger at everybody else. But it's us. Israel, you're not the victim. Niggas in the truth and turned around and got all into, obviously, whether they could see it or not, it's like they done got into the Black Lives Matter political zone where they playing victim. We're not the victims, we're the culprits. We are the culprits. We the ones standing there with the still hot smoking gun. We the ones standing there with the bloody knife. We did the crime. That Beretta tried to tell your ass in the 70s, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Y'all remember that TV show, Beretta? He used to be one of the little rascals. He grew up and slaughtered his wife. Whew. He turned out to be a rascal indeed. But the point is, this is us. So now you go back to Romans chapter 13, and what did the Lord say? He said, let all be subject. So that means that line, clearly, the line that we do not cross is when if the law decides to tell us to do wickedness, like it's doing now, like it's trying to have you train your children to accept sexual deviancy as just an alternate lifestyle. That's that. So we don't teach our children that. You understand? And like I said, man, I perished the thought on Esau trying to get us to do something and then decide because he gonna come and take the kids out. I don't know what to think and say in them circumstances, because certain things is worth, if your children and your women are worth fighting for, then they got to be worth killing for. That's my personal philosophy. I ain't one of them dudes to send by crying out. Not in that circumstance. I'll cry. Damn car hit me, maybe run me over. But you're gonna sit back. Anyway, the point is, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the level of evil is such that Esau is going to decide to start. I watched a clip today of somebody in a European, I don't know if he was with Australia, but he's one of the people on the COVID task force. And he's like, I don't know if it was Australia or if it was England on the Yakuza, but the guy is sitting up there talking about, yes, and so it's getting to the point now where the transmission rates of COVID is no longer due to public. Well, of course, because you done locked everybody the hell down. He said, but now the transmission is due to proximity within the home. So it's going to be necessary for us to go into the home, test the people, and who's ever infected, remove them. He goes, remove them from the home. He says, of course, in a decent and humane fashion. So now a nigga can't even get sick at home no more? I don't need you to come and check on me. You ain't never checked, you didn't check on me when my appendix ruptured. You didn't check on me when I almost died of food poisoning. You didn't check on me when my liver went out back a few years ago. Yeah, I done had about 4 very close calls. But the point is, so why is he checking now? Because he's trying to create the dynamic to enter into your home and remove those who are the most vulnerable so he could bring them up in an evil, wicked way. That's what he's trying to do. Continue, Amayetazar.
We're in
Kawakab.
Yes.
Okay, they're going through this, whether they're raising the prices on books that we need, or they're doing the book burning thing. Okay, you know the store Target?
Yes.
Okay, one of the books they decided to ban is called Irreversible Damage.
Irreversible damage?
Yes.
Okay.
What that is talking about is how this transgender nonsense damaging, these young girls, confusing the hell out of them. So Target made this unilateral decision that, well, this is not inclusive. This is, the whole anti-BS rhetoric they're talking about.
Right.
So basically, you're an enemy of the state. So it's no longer politically correct to say, hey, look, rather than try to raise, my child up to let them make the decision. Okay, I'm just playing the advocate here. We all know, yes. Okay, well, now you're considered an enemy. If you say, well, I'm just going to let my child make the decision on their own. No, they want to infiltrate your child's mind.
Right.
So that book is now being banned from Target.
Yeah, and let me say this, the studies are coming out that the majority of these boys that's getting their testicles removed and making that so-called, the Esau called it a transition, but they're committing suicide, but it's all Esau, you know what I mean? But listen, this is what he's pushing. And so to answer that question, Lamar, that we obey with respect to the responsibilities that we have to perform for our jobs, because Esau ain't up in our homes yet. So, let me say this. Israel ain't supposed to be at work with no damn attitude. Supposed to be your ass at work. And do you want to get paid? I would give you a reason to have an attitude. You be getting your pay, Doc. That ain't how Daniel or Joseph or any of our forefathers rolled, Doc. And when we get into Daniel's, we're going to read that. We're going to see what? Disposition and perspective. We're going to see actually how they operated. Because the Most High don't bless that. The Most High tell you in the book of Psalms, chapter 78, that what was he doing to Joseph the whole time? It says he was trying Joseph by his word. So how was it that Joseph went into captivity and became his master's top slave? His master didn't even know what he had because Daniel was all in order of it. I'm sorry, Joseph. Because Joseph was what? Showed himself to be reliable and remained reliable even when his master's wife was throwing herself at him. See, a nigga today would be like, yeah, it's the best way to get back at master and go and do his wife. End up getting boiled alive like that nigga in Mandingo. They boiled Ken Norton's ass alive. Go ahead, Amayetazar.
Where do you want us to go now?
You still at Romans chapter 13.
Okay, Romans chapter 13, was it verse 1?
Uh-huh.
Let every soul be subject unto the highest powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High.
So that's why we went to Daniel to show the Most High say he ruleth in the kingdom of men. and he setteth up over it whomsoever he will, and will put over it the bases of men, which he obviously turned around and did. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of the Most High.
See, I've been listening to too many Public Enemy songs. Fight the power, right? Even the Isley Brothers got a song back in the 70s. Fight, fight power. They supposed to fight the power. The Most High said, whoever resisted them, resisted him. He ain't supposed to be marching for no equality. The scriptures tell you he don't want. The Lord said, you shall be oppressed always. You're not supposed to do things that in nature are designed to assuage or water down or diminish your punishment. There's only one way that you can do that, and that is by coming back to the Most High and pleasing him. And then he tells you, when a man's ways please him, he make even his enemies be at peace with him. Please the Lord. Golly, that's why I said the worst thing that happened to Israel is ignorant black folks and all these fake nations and liberal people that are trying to help you. They're not trying, and they're conscious. They're not trying to help you. Read on down.
And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
Damnation, but that's condemnation. Now, that's a curse. And that's what happened. That's what happened to Malcolm X. That's what happened to Martin Luther King. That's what happened to all of these cats. The Most High, what? And all of our people. Like these cats running around here calling themselves the the NFAC coalition, right? The Not Effing Around coalition. Brother, I done already seen niggas, they shooting themselves in the ass and in the foot.
They call themselves Israelites. Huh?
Yeah, but that listen, all of that is propaganda and rhetoric to demonize the Israelite awakening. That's what that really is about. And no, because if they were Israelites, they wouldn't be doing that. If they were aware. Go ahead, Al.
I was gonna ask, is that basically like some like modern day like Uncle Tom, like
Who?
like that movement? Are they like?
You know what? I can't say that because, I mean, first of all, if you read the book Uncle Tom, he's got a bad rap. The people say that because of what was his? I'm trying to think of the author, the lady's name, somebody Beatrice Stowe.
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Harriet Beatrice Stowe, thank you. In that book, Uncle Tom he's the protagonist. He's not an antagonist. It's the dude Sambo who can't wait to sink his teeth in and always do his people harm. Uncle Tom goes out of his way to make sure he doesn't do them harm, and he tries to protect them. So right off the bat, no in that answer. In other words, he's not. But let me say this, it's just I'm not sitting on the meeting, so I can't tell you who they are. But I can tell you who they're not based on what they're doing. And they may be our people, but they're not Israelites who are awake, because Israelites that are awake understand the Most High tell you, not by might, not by force, but not by might nor by strength, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Most High we're not going to deliver ourselves. So what they're doing is going to bring down wrath on Israelites. So in that sense, they are working hand in hand with the enemy, whether intentional or not. Because to call yourself and listen, now people, whether they come to school or not, people have heard us on the street, they didn't watch enough YouTube clips, they didn't watch enough classes and listen to enough blog talk to know what we teach. Even the people out in the world, as much as they hate us, if they've been listening, then they know Israel don't roll like that. They never see no Israelite camp roll like that out in the street, a whole bunch of guns, bunch of damn women running around here with guns. Or them Black Panther, the new Black Panther Party, those yokels. They don't even understand what the Black Panthers used to do. The Black Panthers run around as they were threatening because of what they did, because of how they unified our people, because of how they provided for and created a culture where we weren't depending on Esau. And then so much so that even Edomites and other nations were joining and wanted to help out. They were a political force, because poor and disenfranchised Edomites 100% identified with them. Anyway, I'm yet as I continue reading.
Verse 3 of Romans chapter 13. For rulers are not a terror to good works.
Yeah, if you're doing the right thing, you got no reason to be like people scared of Trump. For what? All the nigga did was build a couple of casinos and some hotels. What did he ever do to you? But you wasn't scared of Bush, whose a crime syndicate family that goes way back to those who put Hitler in power. They wasn't afraid. They welcomed the Clintons. This is ironic, probably true, but ironic is still. Clinton went down in history as the first black president because he got on the Arsenio Hall show and played the saxophone with the nigga band. And then Barack Obama is known as the first gay president. See how they did black folks? And then remember, they put him on that Time magazine, first gay president. So whoever's in office, like if Biden get in, the lockdown's gonna get extended. The lockdown's gonna get extended if Trump get in. The scriptures say rulers are not a terror to the good works. What does that tell you? If we're doing the right thing and pleasing the Most High, like it says in the Apocrypha, do no evil and no evil shall come to thee. That's why when we heard this word, we abandoned that old man. We abandoned his old life. And we've been working. I said, we've been all of us that can say this. We fought like hell to what? To please the Most High. So yeah, I'm not going to lie. I have faith and I don't fear, but I don't know it's not clear to me what my latitude, how much latitude I have to operate in. You know, because it's the natural inclination. I don't know how a lot of these Christian niggas is, but it's my natural inclination to protect those that I love. It's my natural inclination to do what it takes so that those that depend on me feel safe. And so the best way that I could do that is not rooted in no damn gun or no organization that ain't effing around. The best way that I can procure safety for my family is what? Come back to the Most High and serve him wholeheartedly with singleness of mind. Because that's where the protection is. We can't save ourselves. It tells you in Jeremiah chapter 31 that what? That the nations are going to say in the end, the Lord redeemed and saved Israel from him that was too strong for him. Esau's too strong for us. Hell, everybody is. We the only nation ain't got no army. Read on down on me yet, for rulers are not a terror to the good works. It says, but the evil. Go ahead.
Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power?
Yeah, so listen. So now that you know who's in charge of the nations, will you not be afraid of the power? That means what? That means you're supposed to respect that. You're supposed to obey. Ain't no law that you got to sell drugs. Niggas are complaining because Esau got all of our people, to whom it can be said, locked up in prison for selling weed. Then so many years later, he run around and non-criminalize it or legalize it to be sold. Well, nigga, you shouldn't have been selling it when it was illegal. That's the reality of it. When it was still illegal, you shouldn't have been selling it. Because the scriptures tell you what? Rulers are not a terror to the good works, but the evil. And the Most High is going to tell you how he uses him. See, other nations get to do that, but we don't. So the Lord uses him to keep us from going too far into wickedness. Read on down on the Yetazah.
Verse 4. Sorry, verse 3, bottom of verse 3.
Okay.
Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same.
Do that which is good, have praise of the same, means you will be recognized for the same. And that's not talking about from men, that's talking about from the Most High. Do that which is good, and the Most High will commend and recognize you for what? For doing that which is good, for doing the same. You will have praise for that which is the same. Meaning what? For having obeyed the Heavenly Father. Now he's going to tell you what purpose the Most High uses this dude for. Continue on, Yetzirah. He's a device, an instrument of coercion. He's there to scare the hell out of us, to keep us from doing evil. Because why? Because we're too stupid and rebellious to not do evil on our own. We have to have terror and coercion exercised over us. We have to have a sword constantly at our throat to keep us from doing the wrong thing. That's what we've proven. People be like, Kawakab, you act like you anti-Israel. I'm not anti, I'm just telling the truth. I'm like the nigga in the damn movie. You can't handle the truth. Go ahead.
Verse 4. For he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good.
Stop right there. The term minister means servant. It tells you these leaders, wherever we are scattered in the world, this ruler is a minister of the Most High. He is a servant, and I'm going to prove that too. And their time is coming. That's what Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6, the first 4, 5, 6 verses is about the conduct of the rulers who the Most High put in charge of his world. He tells you that. For ye have not judged rightly. Ye have not taught the commandments. And he says, swiftly and speedily will your condemnation come. So right here, we're finding out he's the Lord's servant. He's a custodian, huh? This thing ain't his. He's a steward. He's keeping charge of it. He's screwing it up in the process. He's destroying it in the process. But for now, he is the steward in charge. Read that again, Amiyekazah.
Verse 4 from the top. For he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good.
Listen, to thee for good. Because what is he doing? You ain't supposed to go in no liquor store and rob it. You ain't supposed to be selling no drugs. You ain't supposed to be gangbanging. So all the time, every time we find ourselves doing some evil stuff, we end up getting the cops called on us, or the cops follow us for suspicious stuff. He gonna pull you over if you're not doing suspicious stuff. But what happened? The Most High be with you. That happened all the time to us. It happened to me out here, military. When I first got out here, brother, it was, I can't tell you how many damn military police, because we was 2 years out of a 36-year civil war. It was literally straight up damn East Germany papers, please, for a few years. They see me with my fringes, they'd always pull me up, open your jacket. They be trying to do what it take to take my clothes, to take my fringes. And the Lord, all the time, without fail, would have some distraction happen that will pull them away till I finally got it in my head. Nigga, you can't roll like that. You ain't in America. Because they were looking at anything like that as like a subversive extension of La Guerrilla, the people that had fought against the government for 36 years, man. They didn't want anything that could be remotely identified as subversive. And my ass not learning, you know, being hard-headed and thinking it was about the fringes, you know, and I got more teaching done once I just had to blend in, man, you know. So the Most High showed you have to respect the law. You have to respect what the heads of state and what the authorities institute. But that line is wickedness. That's the line that you don't step off. So the Most High said he is a minister to the Most High, the minister of the Lord to thee for good. He's there to make sure what? That you do good. But because his presence, it's clear that the instrument or the strategy being used is that of coercion. You see his billy club, you see that damn shotgun sitting right there in the console of the car. You see this, he's always got his hand on his gun when he coming to you. The Most High got him like that. Cause you be like, you just putting me over because I'm black. Yeah, nigga, I am. Now let me get now step out the car. They got like he's telling the white man something new. You just pulling me over because I'm black. You're right. Now get your ass out the car and spread it. You know, one of these days they're gonna be like, no, because you're an Israelite and the Lord set me up over your ass to make sure you don't do the wrong thing. That would be a cold thing for Edomite to say.
They did.
You know? Huh?
No, brother had said something, man. Nagaha said he saw a video of an Edomite cop saying that we persecute you because you are Israelites.
Man. That's why they used to do us, because they knew who they had our license plates. The cops had orders of standoff because we were like under investigation in all the states where we were from federal investigation. They put a couple of brothers in prison because the brothers got caught slipping and they wasn't pleasing the Most High. That's real. That's reality. It happened. Brothers that I work with, It just, you know, that scriptures tell you, you please the Most High, you ain't got to worry about it. You can't be doing no clandestine things and be involved in, you know, that's why the scriptures mean when it says singleness of heart. Read on down, Amayetazar.
Verse 4. For he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid.
Yeah, if you're doing the wrong thing, then be afraid. Because that doesn't necessarily mean what you get arrested for, you won't necessarily be guilty of what you're being charged with by Esau, but because the Most High is punishing you, you will be guilty, and the Most High will be using that to get you. That's what people don't get. Esau will charge you for some stuff that it'll be clear that you're innocent for, but because you displeased the Most High, he'll let you're in his hands now because you did evil, whether man saw it or not. We be looking at the form and the figure standing before us, but we, with this knowledge, no, it ain't him, it's all the Most High. Go ahead, Amiyatazah.
But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain.
Hold on. All the brothers running around here getting shot. The Lord said he don't bear the sword in vain. Meaning I didn't give him those weapons for nothing. He gave them the weapons to use on us. Whether it's his gun, whether it's his taser, whether it's his billy club, whether it's his knee on your neck. Everybody running around here marching for George Floyd. Brother, listen, I hate watching my people get killed like that, but you know what? The scriptures tell me there be spirits that are created for vengeance, that in their fury lay on sore strokes. And it says that they appease the wrath of him that created them. That's why I back off. You be seeing a woman get beat down, I'll be like, she had it coming clearly. Give a damn if she was pregnant. The scripture says, shall there be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? And that's why I say the Most High, this knowledge, it hardens you. It does not harden your heart. It hardens you. It makes you what? Hardened in the sense of disciplines you. Because that's what we don't have. We don't have discipline, and we're arrogant, and we're, for what I don't know, we're proud. For what I don't know, scriptures even say that. Why is earth and ashes proud? Most I said one of the things he hates the most is a poor man that is proud. Nigga, you ain't got nothing to be proud about. It's your broke ass. That's how he said it. Shoot. Go ahead, Amiyatazah.
For he is the minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon him.
Listen, he's reiterating, this man is the servant of the Lord. He is the minister of the Most High. A what?
A revenger to execute a wrath upon him that doeth evil.
A revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So I'm gonna be out here marching for all these dead niggas, man. You don't know what the hell they did, and they might not have did nothing there. You know, all these cats that be getting shot in the car, man, they trying to go for or they be afraid they had a hand, and Esau just opened fire. Brother, this goes beyond what man can see. The Most High is just. Tells you that in the book of Job. When have the wicked ever perished? Or where were the righteous forsaken? Right? Y'all ain't read that in Job chapter 4, right? That's there, man. Where have the wicked ever perished? Or when have the wicked ever perished? Or where were the righteous forsaken? The Most High don't forsake us, huh? So is there more on yet to continue?
No, I'm just thinking that when the policeman puts 46 rounds into someone, that's the Most High saying, yeah, you did some fucked up shit.
That's wrath, huh? Listen, you just read that verse. He is the minister of the Most High to execute. He is a revenger. He says he is a minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. 4,600 and something bullets in a car coming with a couple with a baby in the backseat. That's the Most High. Only he could do that. And people's like, well, that's the devil. Well, who the hell do you think worked for the Most High? The Most High led him at Job and his whole family. We just don't be looking at it spiritual, man. And when we have this knowledge, we're not supposed to be
emotional.
We're not supposed to be thrown and manipulated as if we were ignorant. Our emotions are tools that the Most High equipped us with to be able to what? To be able to maneuver through any circumstance that requires a specific behavior. But brothers, we have this one behavior, and it's emotion, and it's all based on pride and femininity. What it all is, continue to read on the Yetazar.
Verse 5. Wherefore you must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake.
Now listen to this. So the Most High said, I want you to be subject, meaning under the control of these authorities. Not only for wrath's sake. What does that mean? That means he don't want it to only be coercion. He says, I want it to be conscious. I want you to be aware of what? This is how you were not created to do evil. So to help push you in the right direction, the Most High do have the element of coercion. In other words, the threat of bodily harm. But he would prefer that what? That we do it out of a consciousness, meaning that we're aware of why we're here, what role we are supposed to play, what purpose we serve. We don't serve the purpose of evil. We serve the purpose of the light. We serve the purpose of the good. Yes, we both work for the force, but he's on the dark side and we're on the light side. Go ahead, Yetazar. Is that it?
Verse 6. No, that's it, yeah.
No, I want to get to this because I want brothers be all into these tax movements and the cops pull you over and they got all of these things going on. I'm a sovereign nigga, you was a slave. They got these movements where Esau be declaring sovereignty and all that, and you don't have authority over. I don't know it because I'm not about into that BS. But there's these movements.
The Moors. They call them
the Moors, and then it's just other people, constitutionalists and stuff. And they be asking all these questions that I'm not gonna lie. To me, it's confusing because I don't know how to describe it because I never adhere to it because I understand that I understand that I'm under punishment, and I adhere to the terms and conditions of my punishment. I ain't trying to jailbreak. Christ is coming to break me out. But these cats, they be getting niggas ass whooped. You'll be hearing about that. Brother be like, got that little red Grand Poobah hat on. I'm not a such and such and so on. Morris guy schooled some officer, and then the cameras cut off and he get his ass whooped. Shoot. Go ahead, Yetazar.
Verse 6.
Playing that with your black ass. Go ahead, Yetazar.
Verse 6. For this cause pay you tribute also.
Yeah, like Wesley Snipes found out the hard way. Following this nonsense about you're not supposed and it's the truth. The federal the taxes that we pay is not a law. But look what happened when you don't pay them. He went to jail and was giving yoga lessons in prison. He went from being Blade to whoever, the stretchy man, I don't know. Following Esau's sovereign movement. So he ended up doing, I think it was I can't remember. You might want to look that up. It was 2 to 5 years he was sentenced. So I don't know how much time he did. But by the time he got back into the movie, he was looking a bit old. Black people, especially those of us with the darker hue, we don't get old that fast. But Wesley was looking like, man, the time didn't do you too good in prison, brother. Because he was on that movie, The Indestructibles with Sylvester Stallone, where the youngest nigga was Wesley Snipes. Everybody else is like 99 years old. Dolph Lundgren, Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, nothing but a bunch of sagging skin and military outfits. Y'all ever seen the movies? The little Chinese dude. Have you seen the little Chinese dude? He literally looked like he's older than whoever invented the fortune cookies. He got some disease. You ever seen him?
Yeah.
Recently? The nigga look like he's 90 years old, man.
Yeah, he's bad.
He got that, but he got some disease that accelerated his age like overnight.
It's crazy now.
Yeah. Give me an image of that dude, huh?
Okay.
Look up Jet Li sick, right?
But Kawakab.
Yes, brother.
think in the case of Wesley Snipes, I think he got set up by, the guy he hired to do his taxes, the lawyer, because from what I was reading, he was showing them all these different loopholes that the big fat cats, the ones with the red.
Yep.
But apparently that ain't for Israel.
Exactly. He just been in a couple of movies. He should have known he ain't in that circle. You got that picture on me yet? Old ass Jet Li. Jet Li is like 1 year younger or 1 year older than me.
Wow, are you serious?
Put the image up, huh?
It's bad.
Look at that, man. Told you. Make that thing bigger, huh? See his old ass. Look at that. Look at that, man. You look like that wise old ass Chinese in any wise old Chinese movie now, right? He still could be in the movies, but he's physical. He can't do anything.
Well, he could be like the old wise abbot at the monastery.
Hey, that's what I just said. That's the only thing he can do. He got to be still and very, because his body will crack. Doc. He's all brittle and stuff.
Body will crack.
Shit, he'll bite into a fortune cookie and break his jaw biting into it. Shoot. Anyway, Wesley Snipes tried to follow that advice, but what was his true offense is ignorance, That means if that was the case, he was convinced that he was their equal. That ain't for us. And this verse tells you that. Read that verse again. Call out the verse. I'm yet to talk.
Romans chapter 13 and verse 6. For this cause pay you tribute also.
Tribute is taxes. For this cause, for what cause? That the Most High, for the cause of being subject to the powers that be. Pay your taxes. Pay your rent. Stop trying to do this, always trying to hustle somebody. Work your ass hard and earn your money, man. Back when I was growing up, they had this movement called Yai Kwap. It was it's always nigga stuff, man. Just do your work and wait for the blessing of the Most High. The scriptures tell you that. The Most High said, don't marvel not or envy not the prosperity of the wicked, but abide in thy work and be conversant therein. Because it is easy on the part of the Lord to make a poor man rich. And it says the blessing of the Lord always comes on a sudden. But we always want to, we got some damn problems. We have the truth, but we won't just work. But all the circumstances, all the scriptures show you our forefathers worked. We wasn't no rebels. The only people we rebelled against was the Most High. When I say rebels, meaning those forefathers of ours. Daniel wasn't no slave rebel. Daniel was locked in. That's why the Most High preserved him. Joseph didn't go in and have this attitude, and it took him years to get over the fact that his brothers would do that to him. Joseph went in day one and locked in and found favor in the sight of his master. Yes.
I was just gonna say, what about around the time of Nat Turner and all those revolutionary
what happened to him? I don't tell you, did niggas get free? And the ones that did are the poorest in this hemisphere. Talking about the Haitian brothers. So much for freedom. Don't get me wrong, I ain't scoffing. I'm trying to keep it in perspective. The Haitian Revolution was the only successful revolution from slaves. I'm not talking about the island of Cuba. That was a national effort, and they still ain't came beyond that time period. They still run around here in 55, 56 Fords, 55 Chevys, them old ass, big old metal ass cars. The gas tank is bigger than most of the cars these days. Because why? Because Cuba went against the Western world, and they were shut off from trade and commerce. That's not a result of communism. It's a result of Esau's consequences for communism. People don't know. I'm not an advocate of communism. As far as I'm concerned, it's all the devil. Christ is bringing a monarchy. So it ain't talking about, I'm not talking pro-capitalism, pro-communism. I'm just telling you what happened. People always like to say, and look what happened in Venezuela. What happened in Venezuela was a result of Venezuela choosing that decision, and the Western world cut them off, stole their gold, cut off all the bank accounts for which the people was paying, the countries were paying for Venezuelan petroleum. They won't give them access to those payments. The British kingdom refused to repatriate their gold. Those poverty circumstances, like all of them, were what? Were configured by the people in charge. Why? Because they wouldn't pay their taxes to the powers that be. That's why. It's the reality of it. And those that do, they live a little better. Yeah, they be in the third world, but they ain't running around here like Cuba. Haiti, look how long it took Haiti to pay off a multi-million dollar francs, multi-millions of dollars in francs, meaning that they had to pay. Imagine you get your freedom, now you got to pay your master indemnities for the money he lost when you're not working. And then none of the nations, when the United States, the 13 colonies gained their independence, Russia was there backing them up, all the other nations, France welcomed them and helped them out through the revolutionary process, right? But when the Haitians did it, all of those very same countries turned their back on them until they could what? Until they would pay that money off to the French. And why? Because they were an island of Israelites that dared do such a thing. Because why? Because they broke the conditions of their punishment. The same thing happened in Palmares, Brazil. The same thing happened. They ended up having the wrath of England, Portugal, Spain, and France, and Holland came in, and because they were that bad. Y'all can look that up, the Palmares, the Quilomberos, Quilombo. They had a stupid ass movie called Quilombo behind that. But it was a powerful, they had a whole large ass region of Brazil, brother, that was impenetrable. So they every time one nation, first the Portuguese tried to get him and couldn't, the Dutch tried to get him and couldn't, the French tried to get him and couldn't, and they all just had to combine their forces. So they had the Spanish, the Dutch, the British, the French, and the Portuguese that finally put an end to that revolt. Because why? So I say that because America ain't the only place where it was happening. Every slave boat, no matter how bloody it was in the Caribbean, was eventually put down. Because why? Because Christ is coming to deliver us. That's the reality of it. You know? And you go and you read the history on that. Most of them, it was short-lived because they went from plantation to plantation, killing and drinking. They didn't have they weren't looking for freedom, they were looking for a weekend off.
Weekend off.
They did the same thing they do over the weekend. I didn't think, well, they stopped from house to house, slaughtering and drinking. Go read. So I don't hold them in disdain, but I know what? I don't find the honor in the ignorance anymore. Like back in the day when I didn't know this, I'd be, that was cold stuff. Why? Why was it so cold when everybody got killed? And no freedom was attained because we were ignorant. And was it time to be free then? No, it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. I would probably have followed it in my ignorance because I followed some present modern day movements in my ignorance. Go ahead, Amiyatiza. Let's finish up on that.
Verse 6. For this cause pay you tribute also, for they are the Most High's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
Listen, they are the Most High's servants, attending continually upon this thing. Upon what thing? Upon our obedience, upon our submitting to them. Because this is what now, let's tie it in real quick. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm going to show you what it is they're attending upon. Let me get there. Yeah. Read verse 47 and 48, Doc.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
Because you know what? The Most High didn't just want us going through the what? The mundane process of serving him. He wanted us to serve him, and tell you, with joyfulness of heart. He wanted us to be glad to serve him. But look at what, in exchange for what? For the abundance of all things. That go to show you. And you read the history, you read Ezekiel chapter 16, you read Ezekiel chapter 23. The Most High said, I made you powerful. I gave you gold. I had you decked out. I put a jewel in thy forehead, earrings on you, and your fame went, and your beauty went around the nations. You were renowned for my beauty. Then you had to start putting the gold chains on idols. You had to start taking the clothes that I gave you and putting them on idols. You had to take my corn and my oil and my wine and present them before the idols. So that's what this is telling you. Because you wouldn't worship me out of what? A spirit of thankfulness, a spirit of appreciation. Go ahead.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee.
And destroyed doesn't mean eradicated us from the earth. It means until he's broken us, and we are broken. And so that's what that last verse that he read in Romans 13, it says, for they are the servants of the Lord that attend upon these things continually. That's what they attend upon, that we remain in the position of what? Of serving and paying. And that's, listen, and to show you how gracious the Most High is, look how long he's allowed our school there to have a business that was founded way back in the school was founded in 1992, because I'm one of the founding stewards, and the business in 1994, and the business is still going, when most of our people, you got even Israelites that'll tell you we're not supposed to have no business because of Deuteronomy 28. Yeah, but we're serving the Heavenly Father, and look at what purpose is served. It's the purpose of what? Teaching our people. So that's proof that the Most High wants us to do the right thing. And when we do the right thing, when we please him, he does make our enemies be at peace with us. And then he does give us what? We become, in the prison, those guys that always have those special privileges. Why? Because they're the ones who good behavior. They're what you call the trustees in the prison. They get to do all the responsibilities while everybody's locked up in their cell. I remember because I worked in the prison.
Can I share something with you?
Hold up, don't lose your thought. They still be sitting around the control center talking. All the guys can hear them talking in their cell. Hey, we'll buy them something. And that's how it was. Go ahead, Amiyatazam.
It's funny that you say that, because it's like Israel, as we always say, is hell-bent on mediocrity. Even this whole, we're not supposed to have businesses. Okay, cool. Let's say.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So let's say that we're not supposed to have businesses. Look, what quality of life are you living without your business? And then you'll find that most of them, I don't want to call them bums, but they're mediocre. They're not trying to excel. In whatever work they do. They're not trying to give themselves over to that. As Kawakab just broke down in terms of how you should serve. You know what I'm saying? In terms of giving yourself over. Israelites, they can't even serve one another within this truth, let alone serve Esau. And so really, it's really them just wanting to be rebellious. They just them wanting to feed their pride and their ego and be justified in being rebellious. Oh, because I'm an Israelite, I don't have to serve you. So you say, same how they come to the truth. Oh, I'm me, so I'm not going to submit to any elder or to anybody in the camp. But what I want to show you guys is this whole serving thing, and that's a great question that you asked Marwala. This is me, right? Like Dawayada was asking about, my dynamic, right? So I work for this company, right? And every quarter we do this competition. We're about to start one in Q4, right? So before COVID, was having a sales competition, right? Now, in the whole office, how many people was there? What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Remember, like 14 or 15 people, right? The Most High blessed me, right, to have me at the top of this competition, ended up winning it, right? But what is it that I do? I give myself over. I have that singleness of mind. I'm completely focused, you know. And Esau, they don't bother me. They don't stress me. As far as they're concerned, you know, you're a good servant. You're making money for me. But what Israelites fail to understand, right, is when we're talking about serving the Most High, when we're talking about not just being a servant, what does that actually mean, right? It's really about just giving yourself over to what it is that you're doing. Like I said to you guys last week, if you're at the mall, that should be the only thing on your mind. When I'm at work, I don't have my mobile beside me. I'm not checking my mobile every 5 minutes, every time it goes off. I'm not checking texts. Literally, my mobile stays in my pocket, in my jacket pocket, and I put my jacket pocket at the other end of the office to make sure it's not a distraction. Because too many people are looking for distractions on the zone, even in the malls. You know, they're looking for some form of entertainment to distract their mind, you know, from what they're having to go through. But what the Most High wants is that complete focus, whether you're at the mall, whether you're doing a moving company, or whether you're working for Esau. It's the same thing. It's the exact same dynamic.
But working for Esau is actually easier, and y'all know that.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody in that school that have integrated into the camp's business to keep the school alive knows that it's so much more demanding what you do, and you're responsible for so much more than what you are when you had jobs for Esau. You know that. All you had to do was do what you didn't have to think, unless you had a job in sales, and then Esau trained you and want you to stick with his format when you deal with sales. You understand? But when you have your platform that's designed to keep the school up and running out, just when an order came in, we would get orders in, y'all, that would get there to us about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we'd be up till 4 in the morning until the last item was verified that it was in the box. Remember that? Remember them days? Yeah. 56 boxes coming in from overseas. And then they would get there, the shipper would bring it to us. We'd get there about 5 o'clock because they would always bring it. We'd always be the last delivery for the day. And we'd sit there and we'd go through through the order sheet and then the sheet that they would deliver. And we'd go box for box until it was, and that was just one thing. But it was always a 12-hour job, always. That's the thing that you have to do when you run your own business, man. Then you have to make sure you're responsible for making sure the rent get paid. You're responsible for keeping the lights on. You're responsible for keeping the water on. You're responsible for paying the taxes, however often, quarterly, monthly. All of those things you don't got to deal with when you're dealing with when you work for Esau. And so there's what? That right there breeds mediocrity. It breeds what? It doesn't require thinking. It doesn't require scrutinizing the nature of your behavior. It doesn't require making sure that let me make sure I go at myself so I can grow and please the Most High so he can bless this. It's always more, and that's I'm not speaking from anything outside of experience since I've been doing this since 1988. And the Most High started blessing us with our first businesses as early as 1993. 1992, the first camp, the first school that the Most High had Ariana and myself set up outside of New York was in Albuquerque. By 1993, we had our first business there, and the business in Texas was an adaptation of the business there, and then the business out here was an adaptation and a modification of the business that was there. You know, brothers, go ahead and continue on the Yatazan.
Yeah, you know, you were just saying something there that I wonder sometimes if brothers ever, you know, grow to that level of connectivity with the Most High. Because another thing that brothers don't understand, and this is what used to bug people out, Kawakab. I used to stand on the street, right, when we had the store, right, for like all those years. But the Most High used to communicate with me. Like the Most High would tell me what he wanted of me for him to bless me. You know, the Spirit would communicate with me in terms of things that I would have to stop doing.
But
Like I would say,
don't go too deep. Make it clearer. Would you please let them know that it would just be things that would come to you through the scriptures or in your thoughts, or the most,
exactly.
The Most High would have me drop on you, so that they won't be thinking that this, you know, you stand on the street and then boom, this. But the scriptures tell you that the Most High, the wisdom, it says, will meet you in every thought, because that's what really happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But what would he do? He would have things happen where our circumstance would tighten up, and it would have to make our thoughts go deeper and abstain, so we could really be. There's an environment that you have to create that results in you being able to channel yourself in the fashion that the Most High will accommodate you channeling yourself. That dynamic is called abstinence. Period.
And I'll give you a great example, you know, like what you just said. And I think the problem that a lot of brothers don't understand is they are so rebellious. And I don't think they understand the level of rebelliousness. Like you've been saying to me, Kawakab, for weeks, right, about tuning in on time, right? About tuning in from like when class starts at 2 o'clock, right? But I'd always come an hour later, right? But then even on Saturday, I normally tune in like an hour after like class started, right?
Got started.
Yeah, exactly. But then the Spirit, like literally I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was just saying to the Most High, I want more. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, obviously, if you want more, you got to give more. Do you know what I'm saying? And the Spirit, the thought just came to me. Yeah, like Kawakab's been telling you, basically take this more seriously. Get to class on time. So you may have noticed for the past few weeks, I've been
waiting for me.
For real. But the thing, as you just said, what brothers don't understand is the elders are telling you. That's the Most High telling the Most High speaking.
Now that's the point I wanted to make. That's what I said. I didn't want you to leave them with the impression that when it said the Most High told me that it be so mysterious. He tell you through if your mind is on him, he's going to communicate to you through your thoughts. That's in the Bible. That's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 or chapter 6. You know, where it talks about discipline and that the wisdom will meet you in every thought. That's true. But then he also what? The scriptures tell you, obey them that have the rule over thee, for they look out for your souls. The Most High is telling you, he have them set up as a steward over you, and the Lord communicates to your teachers he communicates to them toward you. So these are the ways where the Lord be making it clear.
Yep.
You know, I'll talk about abstinence and how you have to diminish your circle of activity, your sphere. I always say your sphere of activity, because the more you have going on, that means the more frequencies that you're turned into, that it's hard for you to isolate the one that is the Most High. And he don't play that. The Most High ain't gonna go fishing for your ass between all your activities and all your pastimes and hobbies. If he ain't the number one and really the only one, you ain't gonna hear from him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the truth, huh?
Yeah.
That's why I said the Lord is a jealous power, and thou shalt love the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind, and thou shalt meditate upon his laws day and night. That's what he tells you. He's telling us how and under what circumstance, what is the paradigm in which he will communicate to us. And he will communicate to us on your minds. You open the book up and go to a verse, and that'll be the one. You won't necessarily be like, let me do a topic. You just let me see what I want to study, blank. And then you get pulled in. That's the Most High directing your attention to what he wants to show you. They just, you know, I would say the more you have going on unnecessarily, that's what I mean. Meaning things that are non-work related. Because the scriptures also let you know the Most High communicate to you through your work. That's why it says, remain wax old in thy work and be conversant therein. He's telling you in your line of work, you gotta spend your life in it. That's why he said wax old. Yeah. Let's go there, Amiyah. Is that chapter 4, Ecclesiastes chapter 4 in the Apocrypha?
Honestly, the Most High loves work, I'll tell you. Ecclesiastes chapter 4.
I'm gonna find it. Yes, I'm there. Yes, chapter 11 and start off at verse 20.
Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 20. Be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy work.
When it says steadfast in thy covenant, the covenant is an agreement that you have with what? With the Most High. What is that? What are the conditions of this covenant, this agreement? The conditions are that what? That if you do that which is right, and that you love the Heavenly Father, and that you believe that Christ, his Son, is the only begotten Son, that you'll be saved. But then he says your faith has to accompany works. And the works is what? That, like it tells you in John chapter 15, that you bring forth fruit and that your fruit remain. And the possibility of your fruit remain is going to be increased the more time you invest in your fruit. That's what it means to be what? Steadfast in thy covenant and conversing. That means your conversation is supposed to be all about your job. It's supposed to be all about your covenant, all about your calling.
Yeah.
We ain't think about football. We ain't think about the Super Bowl. We're thinking about our calling. He's telling you. It says, and do what? I mean, the last element of that verse 20.
And be conversant therein, and wax old in thy work.
That means you're supposed to get old. You're supposed to grow old here.
Yep.
Brothers be looking for stuff, looking for things as a young man. Why? You're building your life now.
Yep.
Wait, they want to have it now. Nigga, that ain't even how it happened in the regular world. The Most High said, wax old in your work. Read on down.
Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord.
Now stop. Why does it say marvel not? Because we be blown away by the material wealth and the material things and trinkets that we see people in the world have. We be blown away by the women that be attracted to them. The reason for which they be in all kind of problems anyway, but you know what? And then we get that type of woman end up in the same problems as him. That's why the Most High said, marvel not at the works of sinners. But what? But what, Amiyah?
But trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor.
And you listen, this applies to you guys, Texas. You got to trust him. You got to stay in that work. Dawiyat, how old are you?
37.
Damn, young man, brother. Listen, by the time I was 37, I was 2-3 years out here already. How old are you, Mawarla? What'd you say? 23. Brother, even younger. That's a baby. I came in the truth at 23. Amiyah came in at 23. So we got years. And this is one of the things that the Most High showed me. Yeah, I'm preparing for salvation, but until he come, that's what I'm doing, preparing for it. I'm working. I won't be found doing. So this says, wax old in thy labor, and wax old in thy work. Verse 21, marvel not at the works of sinners. That means what? Don't be paying attention to them, right? Don't be blown away by what you see, earthly benefits that they're getting, carnal benefits, but trust in the Lord and abide in thy labor. Continue.
For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich.
And listen, and we ain't even asking for riches. We just want to be equipped and provided for the responsibility that's been entrusted in our hands. That's how you got to pray out. Why pray to get rich here when everything now, no matter where you are in the world, this whole paradigm is getting ready to end. That's what it tells you in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And the world passeth away. so as having things in this world, but not abusing them, for the fashion of this world passes away. Meaning this, the way things are done now, this is about to be done. I mean, we see that Esau done already did that since January, since March. Shit ain't done like it used to be just in February. Niggas can't even breathe air no more. Everybody walking around here looking like Bane. Everybody walking around here looking like Batman's nemesis. I mean, you this up? On the whole globe. This ain't just Texas. This is the whole world. Everybody run around here looking like they could be a damn bank robber. Look at what Esau did. And people are scared now when you don't got a mask. I remember you got on the bus with a mask, you go, oh my God. You get on the bus without a mask, oh my God. It's already beginning to change. The Lord said he is what? Is able to make a poor man, it's easy on the sudden to make a poor man. And he's telling you on the sudden, you ain't supposed to be looking for it out. The Most High said he is not unrighteous to ignore your labor of love that you've done toward the saints. The Lord is not unrighteous to forget your labor of love. That means he's showing you this thing is so, it means so much to him that for him not to compensate you would be unrighteous. That's what it says.
We don't trust him.
But listen, that's what the verse he said, trust the Lord. You got to trust me. Continue on me yet, verse 22.
The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly.
Hold on. The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly. That means what? Have you been used? Have you been an instrument? Have you been an instrument in his hand? He's telling you who he's going to bless. It's the reward of the godly, not the ungodly, the godly. What do the ungodly have to look forward to? What's getting ready to come? Injections, being genetically modified by some damn vaccine, having to go back for repeats, 3-peats, and 4-peats. This is what Esau's already talking about. Continue on Yetazar. Read verse 22 from the top again.
The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the ungodly. Sorry. The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly. And suddenly he maketh his blessing to flourish.
And how? Suddenly means out of nowhere. Y'all gonna be running around here pretty soon. Watch. When the Most High bring this hell down, y'all gonna be singing Billy Ocean's song. Suddenly, you know what that tune he used to sing? Life has new meaning to me. He gonna be blessing y'all like he got a song called Suddenly. That's what it's Billy Ocean, right?
Beauty in the world.
Yeah, that's it up. There's sickness in the world. And you never take notice of, but you wake up and suddenly you've been delivered. That's how it's gonna go down, huh? The Most High, and listen, the scriptures tell you as far as America, man, the Lord said, you have to go here real quick. Go to Genesis 15 and read 13 and 14. Brothers running around here jumping on the reparations bandwagon. When the Most High done already he done already let us know what our reparations are going. First of all, we got to come to school and get our minds repaired. We got to come to school and get our spirits repaired. Then we start repairing what? Our families. We start repairing our communities. Because the reparations on the monetary end, only the Most High can deliver those. Go ahead, read verse 13. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And
this ain't talking about Egypt. And that's the good thing, because next Friday, I don't even know if I'm going to take questions. I'm messing with y'all. You know, I'm always take questions, right? But when we get into Daniel chapter 2, that one is not, it's not as challenging as Daniel chapter 7. So it's not going to be, it's not going to take long. It's a pretty lengthy chapter. So we got a lot of reading to do, and I don't want to speed through it. But by the time we get to chapter 7, we got to get to this verse 25. Once we get to chapter 7 and verse 25, that's going to catapult us into a different level. We're going to end up going through the scriptures and proving that this 400 years is talking about America and not Egypt. So that's going to take a while, but it's going to be very interesting because it's going to be the reading. We ain't talking about no books written on the Hyksos and all that. We're going to go into the Bible and we're going to find out that the only time that we suffered, the amount of time that we suffered in ancient Egypt, that we were afflicted, that's the word that it uses, that we were afflicted in ancient Egypt did not exceed 144 years. You're going to see that just between Genesis chapter 12 and Exodus chapter 12. Wow. Genesis chapter 12, verses 1, all the way to Exodus chapter 12, verses 40 through 42. You're like, oh, wow. But then you're going to need a New Testament element in Galatians chapter 3, verse 16 and 17 to say, oh, what the Old Testament, what Genesis chapter 12 through Exodus chapter 12 omits is that 400-year period. Now it tells you 430 years in Genesis chapter 12, verse 40. It says, and after 430 years to the very, on that self same day, the armies of the Lord, left them, their sojourning. They had sojourned for 430 years. And so people think, okay, yeah, it was, they've been making it up. I didn't listen to them. They've been making it up, but they think it was 400. But if you go back and you read Genesis meticulously all the way to the end, you'll find out, whoa, Israel was in the land of Canaan for 215 years. And then we migrated into the land of Goshen, both territories pertaining to the kingdom of Egypt. Canaan was the land of Egypt. People don't know that. Canaan was the land of Canaan, the kingdom of Egypt. Goshen was the land of the kingdom of Egypt, but it was in Egypt proper, the metropolis, outskirts of the metropolis. So this here is talking about what we're going through in America now. So read that, Amayatazah. Read it again.
Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
With what?
With great substance.
Great substance. That day is coming. The Most High gonna listen. It's gonna be bad. I don't know how it's gonna happen. I ain't gonna lie. Most High gonna have y'all niggas raid Fort Knox, Kentucky. I don't know. Brother gonna be going on. I don't know, but the scripture tell we're gonna come out with great substance. So why are all of our people, I mean even Israel, getting pulled into, and that is so effective now that the Democrats and the various politicians always make mention of that to get in good with that black demographic for votes. All you got to say is the magic word, reparations. And you said reparations, bro, you got the black vote.
Hell yeah, you got the black vote. Yeah, they want that out.
So that's what we're going to. I'm gonna have to go back to. We're going to finish up. Go back to. First finish up chapter 11, verse 22, and then you're going to go back to Romans, and we're done.
Chapter 11.
Ecclesiastes 11:22.
Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 22. The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly, and suddenly he maketh his blessing to flourish.
So you'll find the blessing of the Lord as a reward to those that have followed the Heavenly Father. And then he tells you, he make that to flourish suddenly. Then you read all the verses that tell us about the Most High's work ethic. The brothers don't know about that. The scriptures tell you, man, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. The Most High is about working. Be thou diligent. All forms of diligent scriptures. So let's finish up by going to Romans chapter 13 and read that. I think you were on verse 6 we went into this about paying taxes. Yeah.
Romans chapter 13 and verse 6.
And about having your own business and responsibility and stuff. Go ahead.
For this cause pay you tribute also, for they are the Most High's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing.
So attending upon what? That we don't deviate and go into evil. That's their responsibility. Don't worry, the Most High is going to, we just read it, the Most High is going to judge them later. But for now, their responsibility is to see to it that we are first coerced from doing evil, and second, and more importantly, exercise righteousness out of a consciousness toward the Most High, out of an awareness of what he expects and demands from us because of the purpose for which he created us. Continue on me, Yetazar.
That was it.
No, read it. It's going to tell
Verse
you
7.
about
You want verse 7?
Yeah, read it, damn it.
Okay. Render therefore to all their Jews tribute to whom tribute is due.
Yeah,
Custom.
brother, like I'm forgetting the scriptures or something. go ahead again. Out.
Verse 7. Render therefore to all their Jews tribute to whom tribute is due.
So listen, this is consistent with what Christ told the apostles. He said, render unto Caesar the things of the Caesar, and render to the Most High the things that he demands. So this is telling us on this earth, we're supposed to be trying to get away from stuff. Render unto to whom tribute. If the system is such and the authorities demand tribute, and you got to give them tribute, give them that tribute. Brother, be going, and this is how you get pulled into the trap, because then they start setting up all these 501c3s with the intention of having to, but instead of evading paying money, why don't you do what it takes for the Most High to bless your business? To bless you so that you can be able to produce and not have to worry about loopholes and what you done did that's not right, and later on it's coming back to bite you, because that's what happens. Go ahead, Yetazar.
Custom to whom custom, fair to whom fair.
That means, listen, fear in this sense is talking about respect. And the reason why it says fear is because that fear of the consequences of not respecting, fear of the consequences of not obeying. That's why it says fear. He don't want you running around being afraid, because he just got through telling you what good works are not the rulers are not a terror to the good works. So we know the fear ain't talking about fear as in, oh my God, what's gonna happen? It's talking about being afraid to what? Of the consequences of disobedience, the consequences of deviance, the consequences of rebellion, the consequences of tax evasion. Go ahead, Yetazar.
Honor to whom honor.
Right. Now let me say this. Like you said, the scripture, we're done, because this is go all night with this. But like all of this about the disdain that people are openly express, disrespecting authorities, disrespecting the president, brother, the Most High to that, you ain't supposed to do that. And I'm not referring to the one in the law where it says, thou shalt not revile the gods of thy people. I'm talking about how the Most High tell you, even Satan do not dishonor dignitaries, speak evil of dignitaries. It tells you there's a certain group of Israelites that are rebellious and they speak evil of dignitaries, and it says Satan don't even do that. So we be all focused on what? The wrong, I put it like this, we allow ourselves to be constrained by the wrong stimulus. Everything that we do centers around obedience to the Most High and the fulfilling of his will. So that's the degree, Mawala, to which we're supposed to serve out we're serving out our punishment. And we were stolen from Africa, and we were stolen from this, and we always make a nigga seem like the victim. When we're the nation of culprits who, before we were stolen from Africa, was burning them up in Africa, burning them up in Jerusalem, offering them unto idols. And now we got to America and we getting them ripped out with clothes hangers or the equivalent in some Planned Parenthood place. We're not the victims. The Most High got to save our children from us. That's who we and what we really are. That's what this nation have descended to. The Lord have to rescue his young souls from us now. And that ain't no lie. Y'all can check out the abortion stats just for 2020. I bet you that's one place that didn't have, that COVID didn't shut down. But I bet you.
Right.
I bet you.
About 34 million deep.
And we ain't even into the end of the year yet, right?
Right.
34 million out?
Yeah.
And Man, you sure you ain't got them zeros wrong, Brother Troy?
All right, 36.
That's a crying shame, Mark. And here we want reparations. So, brothers and sisters, y'all have a good evening. I know y'all gonna be in Sabbath service early tomorrow. Me and Amayetza, we're gonna be busy also. And we will see you guys next Friday, Lord willing, and we'll be able to go into Daniel chapter 2 and move forward in that. So Dawiyah, let Amayetza know, let Awar know that he's gonna, Amayetza is right there, right? Well, then I'll let him know myself. Let Awar know that he's gonna have to change the title once you guys, I think you store it or whatever, to questions and answers, okay? Q&A.
Kawakab,
Yeah, brother.
can I holler at you on Skype tonight or tomorrow?
And you're gonna have to do it right now on Skype. And I gotta, because I have an all dayer. Is that how you say it? On tomorrow.
Okay, it won't be long. It's just something I gotta get off my chest. Which
is that you, Troy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm about to disconnect and go into Skype and turn my Skype on right now.
All right.
Okay. Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Okay, I'm gonna Yetazah.
All right, cut it off right now.